stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom. The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case.
Is that correct?
Literally not true. I didn't ask you to interrupt me. Oh, for Trump's sake.
Alex stole it. Now it Murdoch stole it. Alex stole it as well.
Good morning, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Let's see, where is everything? Here we go. Why is this so slow today? For no reason at all. It shouldn't be slow at all. Hopefully you guys can see me. Welcome. I have my matching purple shirt with the purple lights behind the TV. I have to say, that was one of my favorite purchases. I think I got them for $7 at Ross. those lights. It's actually a little like an adhesive strip that I sort of stuck to the back of the TV, and then it plugs in with a little router. Best deal ever. Rocking the purple today. Good morning, welcome. We are ready to start Ashley Benefield day 2, part 3, because we've got basically 2 parts a day. So we did have a pre-part as well. I guess it's also on the timeline with some motions from Monday. But here we are. We've got jury selection. Everything else is done. We've just had 1 day of testimony under our belts, and it's been spicy. It's been really good. Let's see. Why do I not have... Oh, because I have the wrong screen up. That's why. All right. There we go. We'll need that one up, and I'll work on this one in a minute. We've got a little bit of time. We've got about half an hour before court starts. Apparently, the judge says, hey, we're ahead of schedule, right? We're making good time because we started slow, but we caught up quickly. And so we don't have to start till 9 today. So we get half an hour together before court starts. So we can go over what happened in case you're just joining us today and you missed what happened leading up to this. We'll go over that as well. Standing room only. Can't sit. Standing. Well, Woody, my friend, welcome. Good to have you here, Woody. Like you and all. But I couldn't help but notice that you were first in chat today. And then you bragged about it. You're like, haha, first time. Yeah. Woody, it's actually not something to brag about. This is a punishment. You're a first-time offender, and I realize that. I'm trying to go easy on you, but there's a mandatory minimum sentence that I must pass down. And that sentence upon you for being first in chat is internet ownership. I'm going to sentence you to internet ownership for the day. And the first order of business is to fix the seats so that they work. And I'll give you a little bit of help. I'm going to try on this one to see if I can get them working myself. Let's see. Let's shut this down. I'll try to off and on again. And if it needs anything beyond that, Woody, it's on you. So here we go. I've turned them off. Turned them back on again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got the connections, 5 connections up. Seats should be working. If they're not, you've got Woody's. You can at Woody if you need some help. Woody, congratulations. Love that you were first in chat today. Congratulations being first. It's an accomplishment. It takes a little bit of something to do that. And now, I mean, this goes on your permanent record, so you may as well head over to the shopping page of our YouTube channel and browse until you find the Internet Ownership Certificate. And for the low fee, you paid a low fine of just 50 cents. You can download your own fill-in-the-blank Internet Ownership Certificate suitable for framing or use as a cover sheet on your CV. Congratulations, Woody. Thank you very much. Good to have you here, and great win this morning. All right, let's see. What else? We have... Oh, I know what we have today.
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day! Welcome to Wednesday. I don't think I did any permanent damage, but I might be a little quiet for the rest of the afternoon. Welcome to Wednesday. We made it to hump day, halfway through the work week. The weekend is nearly upon us. And we know that because tomorrow's going to be podcast day. Please join us for that, 8 p.m. here on this channel. I think we're doing a podcast tomorrow. Sorry. I think it's tomorrow. We're not doing the one on August 1st, or the first week of August. That's when we're taking a 1 week break. All right, let's see. Mathis, I was unable to watch yesterday. Can we sing from my nephew Finn, who turned 2 yesterday? Of course we can sing to Finn. I'm gonna make a special request today. That when you get second prize, it's like winning second prize in a beauty contest. It's not a good thing. It's like it's the first loser is what second place is. But Donnie, good job. Second in chat as well. Let's see. Here's where we are. So we need to sing to Finn. We need to. I'm going to add someone else to this as well. So here, let's see. The people who filled out the form are Greg. Is it Deineke? Is it Deineke? Did I say that right? Bram and Finn, and a heavenly birthday for John. We're going to sing to John as well. So give me just a second. I'm gonna put these together because I want to add something of my own on this. Let's see. We're going to go to Greg. I'm going to say Deineke, and if I say that wrong, I do apologize. I'm severely challenged when it comes to pronunciation. John, and I'm going to add Brooke onto this as well. There we go. I know Brooke, you don't, but I'm going to add her to the list. So we're gonna do that. All right. So we have Greg, Deineke, Bram, John, and Brooke. That can all be done in one verse. I think we can do it in one verse. Let's see. Whoa. Sorry. Hang on. Pause for a second. Huge listeria breakout from deli meats. I was wondering why 3 weeks ago I was sick. Oh, my goodness. No sandwiches for the trip, I guess. No sandwiches. All right. We're going to celebrate the birthdays the way we normally do. We're going to sing the happy birthday song. By we, I mean all of us. So let's see. Woody, if you can make sure everyone all over across the internet is joining with us in the song, that would be great. Chat not on screen. It is now. Thank you very much. And Java Jive birthday today as well. Brooke and Java Jive. Okay, so Greg, Deineke, Bram, John, Brooke, and Java Jive. Whew, that's a mouthful. I think it's going to be this one right here. There we go. Okay. Got it. These are the people we're going to sing to. So everyone please join with me in singing or dancing. If you're not a singer, that's fine, but you have to dance. So we're going to do this here. I guess the first thing we need to do is warm up. Ready? La 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 la. Oh, I need Finn on there too, huh? Finn. Here we go. All right. Stand up. Blend your voices with those of your neighbors. Project your voice to the back of the room. Deep breath. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Greg, Deineke, Bram, John, Brooke, Java Jive, and Finn. Happy birthday to you. Greg, Deineke, Bram, John, Brooke, Java Jive, and Finn. Today is your special day. All the other days are great, but today is just your day. It's your special day. Happy birthday. I realize there are a million places it could be, a million people you could be with. You've chosen to be here with us. That's why we're singing to you now. Please help yourself to free pancakes at any establishment which honors the time-honored tradition of free pancakes on your birthday. I would suggest Denny's, maybe IHOP. The dancers are dancing for you. The high kicks are going. I do see a little bit of twerking happening there on the ends there. That's also in celebration. Good job, Nosy. Looks great. All right. Jules says, checks in and says, I'm going to turn down the birthday music. Party doesn't stop, as you know. Party all day long. Jules says, I'm in the courtroom today on the defense side. We will look for Jules, one of our great court watchers that we met through the Maya trial. She's now in court with us today and will be there as we go live with the Ashley Benefield trial. All right. I think I sang so hard I reversed sex me. That's a lot of singing. Happy birthday to all who are celebrating their birthday today. Congratulations. I turned off the drum solo. I'm sorry, Jennifer. I know that was your favorite part. You've been practicing and everything, Zimmy as well. I hit the button and now I can't go back there. The reason is this is it's not a pause. It's like anytime I start it again, it starts at the beginning. There's your drum solo.
If I didn't, I would lose my mind.
I would lose my mind. New thumbnail is growing organically. It looks hilarious right now. Red, let me take a look at that right now. Let's take a quick peek. This is, we've updated. Well, let me show you how it looked before. Hello, son who's up for adoption. How are you doing?
I'm a little shame on you, sir, but your hump day was 2 thumbs down.
My hump day was 2 thumbs down, so he's still available if you're looking for somebody to adopt. Here was our old picture. This is what we used initially with some AI image. Red Pen made a suggestion. Was it Red Pen? I don't know. Somebody made a suggestion. I think it was Red Pen that we update to this new sort of, the courtroom is the stage. So we've got the curtains and everything. I want the curtains to be a little bit smaller than they are. They're taking up a lot of real estate, and I think that's space we're going to need. But I like this idea. So there's our new picture. We've got, oh my goodness. We've got the ballerina wearing a sports bra and a tutu, of course, and she's got a pew-pew in her, on the top part, not in the tutu, but in the bra. All sorts of stuff is popping in on the thumbnail. We make these thumbnails to follow what is happening in court. So as there's a key moment in court, whether it's the upside down pineapple that was mentioned, or the Ferris wheel early on, the baby, the HDMI plug, we've got some sort of representation, even the sign that says in a creepy way sort of thing. We have a representation for just about every significant thing that's happened in court so far, as well as the free headphones, you name it, it's on there. And I noticed that is my courtroom. I see you got the, I just noticed that the background has my my little plaque from Debbie, the Creative Bee. Yes, I just saw that, Red Pen. I just barely saw that. Oh, that's great. TV trays, it's all there. So if you want to, if you have suggestions, what we do, since this is a collaborative effort, we put the link out there. We will share it in chat a little bit. And if you have a suggestion of something to add, we'd ask that you make the suggestion on the suggestion page and then let some of our editors who are well-versed in using Canva and not messing up what's already there to help implement your idea onto the screen, and it'll be great. So love that. It evolves over time as trial goes along. Speaking of trial, day one was a doozy. Oh, let's see. What's the 13 in the bottom right under the pews? Let me see. Just one second. The 13, I think, Lucky 13. I don't know what Lucky 13 was for. I can see in the notes that it was a Lucky 13, but was it something I mentioned or something from... oh, they met and married after 13 days. Court, thank you very much. It's the epic, lengthy courtship. Jules giving updates. Keep an eye on Jules right here in chat. Doug Benefield just entered the courtroom. We're waiting to get a feed here on this. It'll be up in, I think, moments. All right, let's see here. There we go. Making sure all our pictures look great. I wanted to show you what we were counting, by the way. We are counting, nope, not that. Sorry, I forgot that I'm using the background as well. I've only got 2 media players, so I have to swap this one out. We are counting objections. Oh, you said the quiet part out loud. We don't have to mention the vertically inverted fruit at the bottom right. Yeah, I won't mention it again. I saw it and I said it. You know how I am. I'm like the guy in Anchorman. You put something in front of me and I read it, and then I regret it later. Jules is on the defense side, I think. Doug is the victim. Okay, so it's the brother. Doug's brother, I think is what she meant. And I said Doug as well. I just read it. But Doug has passed. That's the reason we're in court. Had he not passed, I don't think we'd be here. Court Watcher says, I've been a member for 13 days. Well, the 13 is for you then, Court Watcher. That is awesome. All right. Fun happenings. As we get started, we're going to go over, I'll do a recap really quickly here on the Ashley Benefield trial and what we heard yesterday. But first, let me tell you a little bit. The Karen Reid trial is getting spicy. New information is coming in that is interesting. Apparently, 3 more police officers are under administrative leave and review. I don't know how the state can go forward with prosecution. To me, this is a bigger issue for retrying the case than all the jurors having unanimously decided she was not guilty on 2 of the charges and going ahead with them anyway. I think the officers are, yeah, that's a big thing. Josh, I just saw that text come in. I didn't see what it was. Just sent you a document. Let's see if I can open it. Back door. All right. Okay. It's a Franklin Tucker update. Sorry, we have a hurry, find my purse situation. Quick update in court. I missed it. We might have seen Jules, and I missed it. I'm sorry. She might have been there in the background. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Who is where? We're waiting for people to come in. Yeah, I think they're finding the purse. My son's late for his driving. He's driving for his driver's license, like his practice driving. All right, so I think we've resolved that concern. I'm not sure. Hope so. All right. Let's see. I told you we were going to do an update, so let's do that now. Talk about what happened yesterday. In case you missed yesterday, we're only 1 day into the trial right now. Lots of people showing up for court. 1 day into the trial, we started off with the first witness from the state was Tommy Benefield. He's the cousin for Doug Benefield. Very close to Doug. They shared a lot of information. They shared enough that I would say he was probably the star witness as far as what was going on in the relationship. So he had a ton of information, very, very sharp memory, except for those few instances where he was asked about things that he texted to Ashley on a little direct back and forth chat that they had going for a few months, which seems strange, right? Ooh, Judge is here already. Holy cow. I guess we'll see if the judge starts. So he was an interesting witness, very, very smart, very quick, very hostile about some of the messages and the way that the defense portrayed his messages to Ashley Benefield. And they even, when he was out of court, they called him a creep to the judge. The judge admonished the defense, said, "We don't call names here, knock it off." And so we moved on from there. But he was the first one. Then we went to Eva Benefield, who is the daughter of Doug. She's 23 years old now. She was just a teenager when this happened. And she's a pretty girl. She's got her whole life ahead of her, and she's got a terrible, terrible childhood that she's overcome. losing both her mom and her dad in just a few short years. And as far as testimony there, they tried to get into through her. I think the most significant part the defense extracted was that she had Taekwondo and her dad sort of helped her a little bit in that, but it might have been when she was 10, and that there was a bullet hole in the ceiling and a fist punch hole in the wall. They didn't go as far as to find out exactly who did it, but we can insinuate that they were talking about her dad, maybe having a temper issue. Next, that took up all morning. Then in the afternoon, we had John Sant, who was the caller on 911. He was a neighbor, really nice neighbor, older gentleman. Took Ashley in when she was beating on the door, saying, "Hey, I just shot my husband." Called 911, kept it pretty well together, and then was sort of helping Ashley, comforting her through that until she went out to the police. Then you've got Deputy Thomas Burley, who's the first responding officer. He sort of tells us about the scene, how he took a position outside, and watched everything. He became one of the officers who goes inside as well later on, I think. Detective John Jones, he was one of the first to enter the house as well, one of the team of 3. He identified the clothing that Doug was wearing when he was killed. He says that he saw 4 spent shells and 1 projectile in the bedroom, but pretty much once they stepped out. Detective Tyler James Ackerman. He was from the Violent Crimes Detective. He was a part of this whole scene as well. I didn't remember anything really specific that he brought to the case there. Then we had 2 CSTs. We had Megan Dvorak, who has been a dispatcher, who was a dispatcher for 6 years and now 6 years as a crime scene technician. She did the DNA swabbing of the wrists, the forearms, and the hands of Ashley Benefield. Next CST, Amanda Conlon. I can never say that name. She was also a dispatch to CST, was her work path, but she's been 17 years as a CST, and she collected the firearm for the neighbor's house, photographed the house, took pictures of the other firearms that were in the house, the 9mm by the peanut butter, the 380 in the backpack, both of them loaded, and just took all the firearm information in. We're slated to have 8 witnesses today. 8 today, which is going to be a busy day. So a couple of them are going to be really quick. We may have Ashley's mom today. I think that's Alicia Byers. So we're going to see. Krista, I have a loaded weapon in bed of her room. What's wrong with that? Nothing. The only problem I have with the only issue I don't say problem. The only issue I say is I believe that firearm ownership has a high level of responsibility that comes with it, especially if you have children in the house. And she did have a toddler. And I know how much toddlers like peanut butter. I'm just saying that's probably not the best place to keep it. Please, if you keep your firearms in a safe condition. Not necessarily in a safe, but in a safe condition where they can't be accessed by the young'uns, because terrible, terrible things happen when that happens. All right. Is anyone else concerned the victim was cold to the touch right after the shooting was reported? Yes, I think, was that Detective James Ackerman or John Jones? I think it was Ackerman. I'm going to credit him with that. He's going to be the cold to the touch. Why is that important? Why is it important that a detective comes in, checks the body, and says he's cold to the touch? Because the body takes a couple hours to cool down. And if she really just shot him, ran to the neighbor's house, the police arrive 10 minutes later, they go in, and he's cold to the touch, the timeline doesn't match up. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you would have to be in a deep freezer to have that work out that way, and that wasn't the case. He was just in the house, a regular house. Lots of people coming in. It is filling up quite a bit. A lot of family. There's our lead prosecution. They're in, what is that called? Is that a plaid? A checkered shirt? Or suit? He said cool, not cold. I know, but either one should not happen. In 10 minutes, if she shot him, he calls 911, and they're there. If they're there within 20 minutes, he's going to be 98.7. Okay, the guy's going to be like just toasty warm. Your body just takes a while to cool down. So we're hoping to hear a little bit from the medical examiner, if more specific, because cool to the touch isn't very specific. It gives us an indication, but yeah, I'm always cold to the touch. I'm cold-hearted. That's what I am. Yeah, we'll see if the ME has some better information. Maybe they did a proper temperature check, which they'll go in detail on, probably more than we want. But we'll see what that is, because if that one piece is there, then we have from the very beginning when she interacted with someone else, she was lying. That's the first thing we have when she ran to the neighbor and said, "This just happened." If that's a lie, it makes it hard to believe things that happen after that. Jennifer Juniper gifted a membership first thing this morning. Thank you, Jennifer. Followed by Ash Axiom, who gifted a membership, and Cakes Boo gifted 5 memberships. Thank you to our amazing gifters this morning. One more, Jennifer Juniper just gifted another, because, why not? So congratulations to those who received the gifted memberships. Make sure, if you just got gifted a membership for the first time, take a seat by typing !seat in chat. We have reserved seating up front for members. You get to sit with all your friends, and the view is great. The prosecutor didn't say anything about this in opening, and it seems like something you'd mention if you would call Ashley's timeline into question. Good point, Kaylee. That's a great point. There was no mention of this, but maybe there's so much. I'm just putting this out there. Maybe there's so much like this in the case that it will all be apparent. Judge is patient, waiting on defense to arrive. Is it hot outside, Jules? I'm guessing it's cooking down there in Florida. This time of year, it generally is. Jules is our courtroom watcher. Be careful, Jules. I know he sort of allows some texting, but not much. So you might have to wait and put your phone away as soon as court starts. So fan funding tab says, Krista just gave you a super chat. It says, I'm very responsible owner. All are in safes. Excellent. Krista, love it. Thank you for the super chat. And I'm a big supporter as well. Okay, here we go. There is our defendant, Ashley Benefield. I'm not sure who the lady in white is behind her, but that was her lawyer and then the lawyer's paralegal behind them. Different look on the hairstyle today. She went from the pulled back ponytail to just worn straight center part. I'm worried. I would worry about this particular hairstyle if she wears it like that throughout the day, because it conceals her face from the jury on a big part. The jury is far to her right, so that's almost like the equivalent of a box fort. But do pay attention a little bit to her mannerisms in court now compared to when the jury comes in, because I've noticed a stark difference between the two, and I don't know what it means, but it's noticeably there. She's very much aware of the jury when she's there, but her eye movement, her head movement, everything else is. I think there's a show she puts on. Whether she was instructed to do it or what, I don't know. Krista just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Krista. Those wonderful people who just got those gifts are very grateful. Very, very grateful. Can you fix my sewing machine before I divorce it? Fun fact, Marcia. Before I started YouTubing, I was helping a local company. It's actually a quilting company with their tech. And they offered to hire me as a sewing machine repair person and put me through the training. And believe it or not, it's quite a lucrative position. I guess sewing machine repair people are few and far between, and the work is plentiful. So I do know my bobbins from my I can tell a bobbin from a needle. I can spool up thread. I can do all that stuff, but I don't know if I could fix your sewing machine. Generally, it just needs to be cleaned. I can tell you that. Most of the time, it just needs to be taken apart and cleaned, and it will function properly. It's rare that the sewing machine actually breaks. If it did, it might have need to be cleaned for a long time. Still no audio in court. Any moment now, we will get that. There's Eva. testified yesterday. She is excluded from the exclusionary rule, where witnesses are not allowed to hear other people testify. She is in there because she is a next of kin for the decedent. Her, let's see, would it be uncle? The gentleman, Tommy, who testified first, he was released from his subpoena, and once he's released, he can be in the courtroom. Both of them may both be called to testify in rebuttal if Ashley takes the stand. Okay. 53 and I've never sewn anything a day in my life. Fun fact. I tell you, I can't operate a sewing machine very well. But watching like embroidery machines work, I can do that all day long. As a matter of fact, I even suggested to the lady who owns the quilting store, I said, you should set up a live stream and just run your demo machine, your embroidery machine, and just let people watch as it makes these amazing, amazing patterns. I think it would be great, and people would buy it. An embroidery machine, a good embroidery machine, like, I don't know, 6 to 9 needles, different colored threads, is the same. It's the equivalent of buying a Harley Davidson for a guy. It really is. Price-wise, they're about the same. They're ridiculously expensive. But it's funny when people come in and they're like, look, the store owner, she's amazing. She's a funny lady. She says, look, first of all, this is your money. Your kids don't deserve it, right? This is your inheritance. You should spend, they can have your sewing machine when you die. But why not get what you want right now? And your husband got the Harley, so you should get the sewing machine. It's the funniest sales pitch I've ever heard, and it works. It's amazing. Tumwater Troy, 10 months. We met way back when? Well, 10 months ago. Tumwater Troy, maybe a little bit more. Good to have you here all the way from Washington. I think it's Washington, up there in Thurston County, right? Cool to the touch is a sign of being in shock. Eva's clothing brand is... Kaylee, tell me, I found her on Twitter. Is she more active on Instagram? I mean, I couldn't find her store on Twitter. Is she an Instagram account or is it Etsy? But Eva, she has her own store. She has her own company. She makes shirts. I think it's cool. I sew and run my embroidery machine every day while listening to RA. Mary, you need a YouTube channel. That's what you need. You need just a couple GoPro cameras hooked up to a computer so you can share what's happening. Everyone's standing for the jury. We still can't hear a thing. Now we can hear. We wish we couldn't. Kevin M. for 10 months. Cavalcante crew is in the house. Welcome, Kevin. Yakima, Washington. It's on TikTok.
All right, y'all can have a seat. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Check and make sure we got the right notes in the right place. Those are yours. Check your pens. Make sure they still got plenty of ink.
I've never had a judge do that before.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to make sure that nobody began discussing the case amongst yourselves or started deliberations. Nobody discussed the case last night or this morning with anybody outside of the jury. Nobody approached you or talked with you or tried to influence you in any way. And you didn't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about. All right, everybody says no. Thank you. When we finished up yesterday, the state was still presenting its case. So, state
calls Alicia Byers.
This is her mom. It looks like our cameraman once again today went to the Court TV School of Close-Ups. There's Jules there in the background. We can see her just behind, off the left shoulder of Mr. O'Keefe. I believe this is Ashley's mom. Byers was her maiden name.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Such a nice, noisy courtroom, especially first thing in the morning.
My name is Judge White. I'm presiding over this case. As the deputy said, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Scoot up just a little bit. We need to get you about 12 to 15 inches from that microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, right as you need it. If you speak in a loud, clear voice right into it, it'll pick up everything.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Alicia Byers.
Can you spell your first name and last name, please?
ALICIABYERS.
And your relationship to Ashley Benefield.
She's my daughter.
And when did she start living with you in Florida?
I can't clearly remember.
Okay. Was there a time when Ashley moved in with you when she was pregnant?
Yes.
Okay. And she was married at the time, but it was just Ashley that moved in?
Yeah, he brought her down.
Okay.
And yes, and yeah.
And she moved in with you?
Yeah. He told me I needed to take care of her. He dropped her off.
Okay. So she stayed with you from that time on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And does Ashley have a concealed weapons permit?
Yes.
Does she own firearms?
She doesn't now, no.
Did she own firearms then?
Yes.
Okay. How many?
2, I think. Yeah, 2.
Did she ever go to the firing range or
Yes.
anything? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. How frequently would she go?
Well, we did all the courses to get the concealed carry, and I don't remember.
Okay. And very shortly before the shooting, she went to the shooting range with your neighbor, correct, John Fantz?
I don't think that was close to that time, no.
Laura, I'll get back to this.
So it may not have been close in time, but they have gone together? Ashley and John Sands?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. And you and your daughter obviously are very close. You lived together, just the two of you, right, for a while. Mm-hmm. And then once the baby was born, the baby lived there with you.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And around that time of the shooting, were you planning to move to Maryland?
Yes.
And you had a house that you inherited in Maryland?
It was the house I grew up in.
Okay. And you inherited that house?
Yes.
So your plan was to move to Maryland with Ashley and Emerson, the baby?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Doug, Ashley's husband, was also moving to Maryland?
He was moving somewhere else. He was, yeah.
Okay.
He had found his dream job.
So he was moving to Maryland, but not moving into your same house?
Correct.
Okay. And he was packing up to move at the same time you were?
I assume so, yeah.
But he was coming over to help you move?
Yes.
And on a regular basis, almost every day, he was at your house?
Maybe the last week.
Okay.
Yes.
Helping move boxes and things like that?
Yes.
And you all rented a U-Haul, right?
Somebody rented a U-Haul. I don't know who.
It was in your driveway, though, correct?
No, it was not my driveway.
The day the shooting happened, was it in your driveway?
I think it.
If you don't know,
the
that's
U-Haul
okay.
was getting there when I was leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you also had a pod, one
Correct.
of those.
That was in my driveway.
In your driveway.
Yes.
Okay.
Emerson,
On the
beautiful
date
name.
of the shooting, what time did Doug get to your house? Do you remember?
No, I mean, it was, I can guess, maybe like 5 or something. I don't know.
So it was still light out?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe in the afternoon sometime?
Yeah, I don't clearly know.
Okay. So when he showed up, what did you do? Did you stay there or leave?
I was leaving when he pulled up.
And where did you go?
We went to the park.
Okay. When you say we, who is we?
Oh, Emerson and I.
Okay.
Yes.
So just you and Emerson, and
Yes.
How old was she at the time?
So I guess 2, maybe. Yeah.
Approximately.
Yeah.
And at the house, was it just Doug and Ashley then?
Yes.
When you left? Mm-hmm. And you've obviously been in contact with your daughter almost every day since the shooting, correct?
Leading. No, rule.
You've been in contact with her basically every day? correct?
Not initially, no.
For the last several years, you've been in contact with her every day.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I
And
don't know how to, okay, yeah.
did she ever, during any of these conversations, tell you what happened when she had to shoot Doug?
Never. Nope.
When you came back from the park, I'm assuming she was already in the squad car or she was already with law enforcement?
I had no idea where she was.
I'll sustain.
Okay.
That was leading. We're up to 40 now.
So at the time that the shooting happened, she didn't tell you what happened?
No.
Correct.
We've never talked about it.
And
No, overruled.
to this day, you've never talked about it?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
That's all. That's all? We got Doug arrived at 5 p.m. That's pretty much the only piece of information we got that was new.
Good morning, Miss Byers.
Morning.
Are you nervous?
Yes, very.
Scared?
Yeah.
All right. Just try to relax. If my questions aren't clear, please just ask me to repeat it.
Okay. Thank you.
Or restate it.
Was there ever a time when you and Ashley resided here in Bradenton, in the home, that Doug lived in that house?
Never.
Would it be safe to assume, and perhaps you can enlighten us a little bit, how was your relationship with your granddaughter, Emerson?
Oh, very good. Yes.
Okay.
We're very close.
And would you try to spend time with her?
Yes.
Would that include you taking her somewhere on a regular type basis?
Yeah. Oh,
Would that be to the park?
yes.
And tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Ms. Byers, how often you engaged in that practice of you and Emerson going to the park?
Usually several times a week. And we'd go after it cooled down because the park does not have very good, tree coverage, so it was very hot. That was the only comfortable time to go.
So we think trying to avoid the heat or minimize it'd be later in the afternoon.
Yeah, it was brutal out there otherwise.
Yeah.
Florida,
Almost as bad as it is now.
Right, exactly.
How far away was the park?
It's a short walk. I mean, we'd always walk over there, so I don't know, take us maybe 5 minutes to get there.
Okay.
So.
And on this particular day, I think you told Miss O'Donnell, if I'm not mistaken, you were actually in the process of going with Emerson to the park when Doug arrived?
Yes, we were walking down the driveway and I had her in the stroller.
And on this particular occasion, there was nothing unusual about you going to the park, just like you did regularly?
Yes.
Give me a moment, Your Honor, please.
Okay, so the park trip was a regular occurrence. You always go in the afternoons when it was cooling down.
I believe that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms.
Can you redirect?
No.
Oh, hold on, ma'am. Don't get up yet. No redirect.
No.
Can this witness be released?
Yes.
Yes.
Ma'am, you were released from your subpoena.
So she can now stay in the
Your
courtroom.
rule of sequestration had been invoked, but you're now released from your obligation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, I apologize. In consulting with counsel, I do think I want to leave her under subpoena for review.
All right.
Sorry.
Ms. Byers.
So what does that mean?
I'm going to explain that.
Okay.
All right, so what that means is you remain under subpoena and subject to being recalled at the trial.
Okay.
The attorneys at the beginning of the case invoke what we call the rule of sequestration. So the instructions I'm going to give you are similar to what you've already probably been told by the attorneys. You're not to discuss your testimony here in court, the questions asked of you with anyone else, including the attorneys. You can't talk with other witnesses about what their testimony was or the questions they were asked. And it's my understanding this may be online. You are prohibited from watching anything that's going on within these four walls, ma'am, until you're released from your subpoena or until the jury comes back and the verdict is released. Okay? All right, thank you, ma'am. You're free to go for now.
That may have been an entirely psychological move. They didn't want Mom there.
All right, State.
They got nothing from her,
Call Barbara Russell.
but they keep her out of court.
Oh, this way. Here you go.
Prosecutor's desktop looks a lot like mine. I've got icons all over it. Just a quick update. In the Maya trial, Greg Anderson, his firm, Nick Whitney's left Greg Anderson's firm, I believe. He's off the case. No longer part of that. I'm not sure if he's moved on. Don't know what happened there. We're trying to find some information on that.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My name is Judge White. I'm going to be presiding over this case. As the deputy said, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches away from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, right, however you need it. But if you just speak directly and a loud, clear voice into the microphone, it'll pick up everything.
Thank you, sir. And please state your name.
Barbara J. Russell.
Can you spell Barbara Ann Russell?
BARBARARUSSELL.
And what is your profession?
I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology, and I work as a clinical and forensic mental health professional.
Okay. And how long have you known Ashley Benefield?
I've known her since April of 2020.
Okay. And when you first became involved with Ashley, it was on a professional level, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then since the time that you had that interaction, you have stayed in touch with Ashley?
Correct.
Okay. And subsequent to the shooting that happened, she actually moved into your house, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And who all lived at the house?
Myself, my husband, and my 19-year-old daughter.
All right. And approximately how long did she live at your house?
Approximately 8 months.
And you would see her on a daily basis?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. Did she, when did you first see her or speak to her after the shooting?
About 1 o'clock the following morning.
Okay, so this happened in the evening time, so it would have been 1 o'clock the next morning. And at that time, did she say to you, oh my God, he came after me, I had to shoot him? Did she say that?
She didn't discuss what had happened at all, nor did I ask.
Okay. And to this day, are you still in contact with her?
Not that one. I'll overrule on that question.
To this day, are you still in contact with her?
Yes.
Okay. And to this day, has she ever told you what prompted her shooting, Doug Benefield?
She never gave any kind of narrative of what prompted the shooting. My understanding is that
I just want to know if she told you. I just want to know what she told you. She did not tell you anything, correct?
She never gave me any narrative about what had happened.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross, sir.
That was very specific language. She never gave me a narrative. She might have given a reason, but she never gave a narrative version.
Good morning, Dr. Russell. I have a question from your own personal knowledge. You're aware that Ashley's lawyers instructed her not to discuss the facts, correct?
Of course, any good lawyer would do that.
Wow.
Give me just a moment, Your Honor.
Of course. Yes, sir.
Maybe that answer was just a little bit too over the top.
Did there come a time, Dr. Russell, when a detective, Warren, contacted you about the case?
Yes.
Did you have discussions with Detective Warren?
I met with him once, yes, for about 90 minutes.
And in that meeting, did you relate to him that...
Objection, yourself.
No.
I'm asking a question to this witness.
Well, I understand, but if it calls for hearsay, why don't you approach so I can hear what the question is going to be?
Okay, the hearsay rule is probably one of the hardest rules to understand in court, and I still am confused by some of the ways it plays out. But any statement made outside of court is hearsay. So here in this case, they've objected to a statement this witness made outside of court. Even though the witness knows what the statement is, they're saying that's hearsay. You can't talk about that. We're up to 43. It looks like 43 objections so far, and hearsay and leading have been the main ones this morning. Let's see, burner phone. Whoa. Let me update the pinned message here because we're flying through the witnesses this morning. Ashley's mom went first. Now we're up to Barbara Russell. She's a licensed clinical social worker. I think the key piece of evidence here, or the key bit from this, is that Ashley moved in with her. Like, she was her therapist, and then she moves in for 8 or 9 months. They're still close friends. You can see they're still in contact. Hostile witness for the state. You can see a little bit of reluctance to answer and defensiveness in her mannerisms. And then when the defense gets up and asks a question, there's a big smile and a compliment in the answer. So yeah, there may be some ethical boundaries that were crossed with that in that client therapist relationship. That just seems it seems a little bit outside the norm. Yes, Psychosaurus Rex. That's what we're talking about here. It's Ashley lived with her for 8 or 9 months. Not normal. Ladies covering for her. What I will say this: one thing that Ashley did, which is good, which a lot of people are holding against her, and the state's trying to hold against her, is that she contacted her lawyer immediately, and the lawyer gave her advice, which was shut up, don't talk to anyone. And she didn't. So she hasn't, according to testimony, she hasn't talked to her mom. She hasn't talked to her therapist. There's no statements, tell all to the police situations that I'm aware of. This is the good advice, and it might come back and really help her out, because she doesn't have these alternate stories or things that she's told all these other people about what happened that she has to face in court. You can't say, oh, and not give context. What's your burn phone say? Sometimes people share personal things. This one isn't personal. It's somebody texted me and said, I'm late to the live. I'm not getting out their location or anything, because we had a 3-man hunt down in our neighborhood. My cameras caught them on video. They caught 2, are still looking for 1. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, crime in the front yard. Let's see.
When you spoke to Detective Warren Justin, you identified yourself.
Correct.
Okay. This was a face-to-face conversation.
Yes.
If you were to tell us today in court about the discussion you had with Detective Justin, would it be any different than what you told Detective Justin on that day?
No, of course not.
You have an opinion, do you not?
Objection.
Rephrase.
But she's not an expert witness. She can't give opinions. She can't speculate.
As you sit here today, do you have a conclusion?
Objection.
He meant sit.
Sustained.
All right. Give me a moment.
She's not an expert. He's asking questions he would ask an expert witness. Mr. O'Keefe is literally phrasing the question for Mr. Taylor, saying, ask her this.
pictures that were in here yesterday.
Mr. Keith is a paralegal. He's working for Mr. Taylor and for Ashley's defense.
Dr. Russell, you had an opportunity that morning, from what you had to say at approximately 1 o'clock, technically the next day, to observe Miss Benefield, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to pass you a picture that's previously been marked as State's Exhibit number 21. Picture of Ashley Benefield that was taken on the day of the incident.
Yes.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
Does that picture reflect any swelling to Ashley Benefield?
Objection. As interpreting the picture.
Sustained.
Did Ashley Benefield look like that when you saw her prior to the day of the homicide?
Prior to the day, no.
Okay. What was different about her?
When I saw her after the incident, there was edema, swelling on the side of her face.
Okay, and did that include her right eye?
It included her left eye.
Left eye, rather?
Yes.
Okay. And when you saw her before the homicide, did she have swelling on the left side of her face, on her cheek and her eyelid?
She never had, no.
In fact, when you saw her immediately following the incident that morning at about 1 a.m., was there any indication that by Ashley that her head was hurting?
Objection. Hearsay.
Sustained.
Spontaneous statement, Your Honor.
That existing mental, emotional, physical condition.
Can we vote?
Yes.
They're going to argue this one out. This is a hearsay objection. They've cited a couple of the exceptions here. Ashley nods. She can hear, so the conversation begins. That little phrase I used this morning, the cameraman has gone to the Court TV School of Close-Ups. I swear, I think we've got the same person who was on the Lori Vallow case initially. Yeah, this is nuts. Oh, man. See if the judge allows it. Turns on the audio again. I've turned it down.
Did Ms. Benefield that morning give you any indication that she was in pain?
Yes.
And did you refer to any particular area?
Yes.
What?
Her head.
Thank you.
So now you have a medical professional who's testified that she exhibited some injury.
No.
The prosecution does not do redirect.
Can this witness be released?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. No. She's terminated now. Just, she can be released from this time.
Ma'am, the rule of sequestration has been invoked by the attorneys, so that means that until you're released from your subpoena or until the jury is discharged, you're not to discuss your testimony in this case with anyone outside this courtroom, including the attorneys. You're not to talk with any other witnesses about your testimony. You're not to talk with any other witnesses about their testimony or the questions that were asked of them. And it's my understanding this may be online. You're prohibited from watching anything that's going on within these courtrooms.
It's my understanding
Thank you, ma'am.
these proceedings may be online somehow, somewhere. Judge, you signed the media order.
All right, State.
Judge, the state you call Lieutenant Dan Dickerman. I know he was caught in the line, so I just want to make sure it's it.
I'm not sure if I heard the last name correctly. We're going to call him Lieutenant Dan until he spells his last name for us.
Remember, we have an issue here I'd like to take up for just a moment. I don't know if you want to just be the first 5 minutes.
Hold on 1 second. I'm approaching.
Another issue raised by the state. I'm not sure if it's on Lieutenant Dan. The judge is so thorough. He's like, can you hear? Yes? Okay, we'll begin. They're blocking anyone that supports her. They are. They're keeping the subpoenas active. And here's why I think they're not going to recall these people. Because they have not questioned any of them. If you keep them on the subpoena, they can't be in there. They have to sit out there as a witness being available, but can't watch, can't listen to anything, can't be there to support. And they haven't done any redirect questioning, but they keep them on the subpoena list. I think that's shady. I think that's
Please raise your right hand. Please approach this one.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Judge White. I'm presiding over the case. As the deputy said, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, right, however you need it. Just speak in a loud, clear voice, we should hear everything.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
Daniel Dickerman, Dickerman.
I heard correctly.
Where do you work?
At the Manatee County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked there?
For almost 29 years.
What is your current position?
I'm a lieutenant in road patrol.
And what was your position back in 2020?
I was the senior homicide investigator assigned to the Manatee Homicide Investigative Unit.
Okay, so Manatee County, say that again?
Manatee Homicide Investigative Unit, MHIU.
MHIU, okay.
Yes.
So you were the senior investigator in that unit?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could just explain a little bit, what is that unit?
So that unit is a group of detectives formulated from all the agencies within the county, the Sheriff's Office, Braden Police Department, Palmetto Police Department, and all 3 beach agencies. We all respond out to all homicides that occur within the county, regardless of city jurisdiction, everything, so we can all work together and investigate that and determine if any criminality as a result of that homicide will need to come forward.
And just discuss a little bit how you work as a unit, and is that different than how a detective may work in a different part of the Sheriff's Office?
Yes. In the Sheriff's Office, most cases are assigned to a single detective. They go out, they do all the work, they write the report, they bring everything together in a normal, smaller case. In these cases, we determine what we call a lead detective. That lead detective then becomes, for all intents and purposes, the supervisor of the case. He makes assignments. We go out, all the other detectives, we do our respective assignments, we report back. The lead detective becomes a basic gathering point and a keeper of all the information to make sure the flow goes smoothly to one location and we're not duplicating efforts or stepping over each other's toes, and then he makes the ultimate decision once he has all the information.
Okay. And are you, as a unit, a part of any decision-making that happens within the unit or that happens in a case?
Yeah, we have meetings on every case to discuss the comings and goings and happenings of the different case.
And so did you work in this unit, the MHIU, at the time that the shooting occurred?
I did.
On the date of the shooting, were you notified of the shooting?
I was.
Okay. And about what time was that, approximately?
It was between 7:30 and 8 p.m.
Did you go to the scene?
I did.
And when I say the scene, where the shooting happened?
Yes, to the neighborhood of White Rock, I believe it was.
Was the defendant there?
Yes.
Where was she?
She was in the back seat of Deputy Burley's patrol vehicle.
Did you go into the house?
Not at that point. I did after the crime scene unit had already documented everything and made sure nothing could be contaminated, done their investigation inside. Then I went in briefly at the end.
Okay, and what did you see?
I saw some blood trail on the floor, a bullet strike in the wall of the bedroom from a projectile, and that's about it.
And were other members of your unit there at that scene?
Yes.
Were there other members of the unit at other scenes or other places?
Yes. Detectives were also sent to our main offices, Criminal Investigation Division, which is where our interview rooms and our offices are located.
Okay. And from the beginning of when you arrived on scene, you knew that there was a self-defense element of this crime. Did you know there was a self-defense element when you got there?
The leading.
I'll overrule on that.
Yes.
Okay. While you were at the scene, were you made aware that the defendant was going to be going to the station?
Yes.
Okay. Was the defendant's mother, Alicia Byers, there?
Yes.
Did you speak to her?
Yes.
And at some point, did she hand you a phone?
She did.
Okay. And did you know why she was handing you the phone?
Originally, no, but then I found out shortly after.
Who was on the phone?
A lawyer.
Okay. And did you speak to that lawyer?
Check. Sustained.
Did you explain to Alicia Byers what was going on and where her daughter was going to go?
I did.
And ultimately, how many lawyers ended up at
relevance?
How many lawyers does it take to?
If you want to approach and explain the relevance.
Oh, she wants this. She's going to fight it. The question that was objected to was how many lawyers ended up on the scene or on the phone. I'm not sure, but somehow involved. How many lawyers? Why is this relevant? I don't think you can use the fact that a defendant used their right to a lawyer, which is literally, we tell everybody when they get arrested, you have the right to have an attorney. You can't use that against them. And I think she's trying to use that as a sword. The judge, I think, would be smart to say, no, that's not relevant. You're not going there. You can't use the fact that she lawyered up immediately against her. How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb?
At the time the defendant went to the station, was she under arrest?
No.
Was she ever arrested that night?
Jack leading.
Sustained.
When was she arrested?
Sometime in November.
Okay. And the shooting happened?
In September.
Okay. And that seems to be a month or two delay. Do you know what delayed that?
But for the investigation to continue into the self-defense claim.
Okay. Did you go to the neighbor's house, John Sant?
I did go there briefly, yes.
Okay. And did you have any discussions with him or anyone?
I did not, no.
Okay. Was Child Protection Services on the scene?
Yes, they were called to the scene.
And just briefly, what is Child Protection Services?
Objection. Relevance.
I'd sustain this
Consistent with the court's prior concern, 403.
Yep. It's prejudicial. You get CPS involved, and everyone assumes, oh my goodness.
What is Child Protection Services?
I don't agree with that call.
At the time, it was a division of the sheriff's office entrusted with protecting the children from abuse, or make sure they're in good locations, or just make sure they're healthy.
Okay. So do you know why they were there?
Objection.
Did CPS try to speak to Alicia Byers?
Yes.
Okay. Were you present when Alicia Byers?
Yes.
Okay. Was Alicia Byers cooperative with them?
I wouldn't say fully cooperative. She did ultimately answer a vast majority of the questions, but not cooperative per se.
Okay. And was there anyone else present at the time when they were trying to speak to Alicia Byers?
Off and on, Barbara Russell was present.
Okay. Did you also assist in executing a search warrant?
Yes, I was on scene.
And where was that search warrant? Was that at the house?
At the house.
Okay. Did you have any assignments for gathering evidence?
Yes.
And what evidence was that?
To originally look for video in the area of the park of the neighborhood.
And did you do that?
I did.
Were you able to obtain video?
I was.
And on that video, did you see what we believe to be Alicia Byers and the child at the park?
Yes, they were at the park.
Yeah. Did you also obtain other types of videos?
Yeah, I also viewed ring video from the scene itself.
Objection, relevance.
I think that's allowed.
What video?
Ring from the scene.
From the scene's got to be allowed.
Overruled. I mean, you can say you viewed it.
Okay. And in viewing that, did you see any part of the incident that we're here about? Was it captured on the ring camera?
The shooting, no. The arrival of the U-Haul and the arrival of the deputies were on there.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Wow. Flying through the witnesses. This is already number 3 for the day.
Good morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning.
So through your testimony, among other things, the state proved this morning that there was a U-Haul truck there.
Yes.
And that the deputies arrived.
Yes.
And that there was a homicide.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that often the practice is when you respond to a homicide, it takes some time to conduct an investigation to determine if there's criminality.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in other words, you don't come upon a homicide and determine as soon as you see a dead body it's murder.
Correct.
Thank you, defense rests.
If I wanted a job in your unit that you supervised and I felt all homicides are murders.
Objection.
Fair question, Your Honor.
Objection. Pre-trial ruling.
Sustained.
Wow. Look at the body language on that objection still. There's no time limit, but I imagine the court wants you to make progress.
You
Otherwise,
mentioned that the arrest of Miss Benefield, well, let me start from, I think you told us she was in the back of the squad car.
Yes, sir.
She was in handcuffs.
Yes.
And this is a squad car with the doors that you can't open from the inside and the back, correct?
That's correct.
With a cage.
Yes.
So she's in the back of the squad car, in handcuffs behind her back.
Yes.
In a car with a cage, and you can't open the doors, but she wasn't under arrest.
No, she wasn't charged with anything.
Okay. So, I think you told us that the reason for her being arrested approximately 6 weeks later, I think, was so that the investigation could be conducted.
Correct.
Because you had to determine if there was criminality.
Correct.
Okay. Could have been a homicide that was self-defense.
Could have been. That was the claim.
That's the whole point of the investigation.
Absolutely.
And that kind of an investigation, understandably, takes time.
It does.
And patience.
Yes.
And professionalism.
Yes.
And knowledge and experience.
Yes.
Do you know how old Lieutenant Alicia Byers is?
I don't.
Do you recall meeting her?
I do.
Approximately, give us your best shot.
I mean, I would guess in her 40s to 50s.
All right. Was she a young woman?
No.
She was pretty exhausted that day, wasn't she?
She appeared to be. There was a lot going on.
Yeah. Would it be a fair statement, Lieutenant? You seem like a pretty straight guy. Was she emotionally distraught?
Yes, there's a lot of emotions going on there, yes.
In fact, her first thought upon coming back from the park with the daughter and seeing the cars was that her daughter was dead.
Stop.
Please stop talking, she said. Objection, hearsay, please stop talking. I think the rule is you have to get the question out.
Make an argument for an exception, then you can approach.
Res gestae?
If you'd like to approach.
Res gestae?
It's all right, Your Honor. I think, Lieutenant, excuse me, you told us that you went into the residence after crime scene had completed their portion of the investigation.
Yes, sir.
And do you recall crime scene was there before or after EMS?
A crime scene comes after EMS. The sanctity of life always comes first.
All right. So EMS was there first, and you were there, so you know they dragged Mr. Benefield out of the home from the bedroom.
Yes.
So when you told us that crime scene was there to preserve the scene, can we agree, Lieutenant, that what crime scene preserved was the scene following the EMS people not only working on him in that bedroom, but moving?
Yes, as always, that we preserve the scene after we attempt to save the life.
Okay. And so those crime scene photos show us, for example, what that scene looked like when crime scene took the photograph.
That is correct.
It doesn't show us what the scene looked like when EMS was running around doing what they do.
That's not possible. No, that's correct.
Okay, and that would have included the initial deputies on the scene as well.
That's correct.
I don't think I could use that soundbite because there were two people
Give
talking
me
at the same time.
just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I'll go back and check it, though.
To determine come upon a homicide.
Hang on, here we go. I'm trying to find the clip so I can play it back.
Okay. If I
yeah.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Appreciate your candor.
I'll get it later.
Sir.
Redirect?
No.
Can this witness be released?
Yes.
No redirect.
Mr. Taylor, can this witness be released from your subpoena? Sir, you were released from your subpoena. You're free to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
On state.
Can we approach?
State's going to approach. They're frustrated. There was a pretrial ruling. They think that previous question violated that. See if they're arguing that issue or something else. Sometimes when you're watching sports, the coaches, they sort of get in the ear of the referee. You know, if they think something went down wrong, they like to complain about it for a little bit, hoping that they'll get a more favorable ruling for themselves in the future. I think that might be what's happening here. Oh my goodness, please stop talking. I'm going to try to play that sound. Where was it at? It was about 2 minutes ago. Let's see.
Yes, there's a lot of emotions going on there, yes.
In fact, her first thought upon coming back from the park with the daughter and seeing the cars was that her daughter was dead.
Stop.
Yeah. See, we've got three voices there. I can't play all three. You've got the judge saying sustained, him asking the question, and the prosecution saying, please stop talking all at the same time. We need a cleaner version, so maybe it'll happen again. Let me crank the audio down so we don't get our eardrums blasted out when they come back here. Angela, yes, I want to watch the Olympics. I need help.
We're going to go ahead and take our mid-morning break right now.
I need help watching the Olympics.
Please close your notes, leave them right where they are. It should be 10 or 15 minutes. stretch your legs, get something to drink back there, use the facilities. Please don't begin discussions amongst yourselves. You are free to still use your cell phones to send and receive text messages, calls, anything like that. But please don't discuss the case outside of this group, and don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about. Thank you.
While they get ready for this break, Jules is in the courtroom. She's right behind Ashley Benefield as the camera looks. We saw her briefly on that last camera shot before the bailiff stood up and everything else.
All right, y'all can have a seat. We'll be on recess. Bless you, 10 minutes.
We might be able to have her call in, so we'll keep the burner phone open for her in case she does call. See what her availability is on that. She'll have to leave the courtroom if she's going to, but we'll see. I said I want help watching. Oh, there's Jules. She's leaving the courtroom now. I said I want help watching the Olympics. Here's what I want to do. I love BBC coverage of the Olympics, but the Olympics they guard. I need a VPN to watch the Olympics from England.
From Jules.
Jules, my friend. Wow. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Did you hear the prosecutor in that last objection? Please stop talking. Did you hear that?
I did. And it's very, very clear and obvious, like when I don't know if you could see it or not, but there is no love lost between these two at all.
Yeah.
None. She is, as a matter of fact, she is out in the hall right now, and she'd be hugging a lot of people out here. I find that a little bit odd, but anyway.
The prosecutor?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Although one of them, I will say, is Doug Benefield's daughter, Ava. So
yeah.
She did hug her.
Beautiful girl. She got a business on TikTok, I think, selling shirts, which is cool. So we wish her all the best. She's had a tough hand dealt to her just as a teenager.
Yeah, and if you think she's pretty on screen, she's got the most incredible eyes in person. I mean, beautiful eyes.
Yeah. Do you know anything? I know you've just barely been there in court today. Do you know anything about the people who were there to support Ashley Benefield?
Yes.
There was a gentleman who had like a man bun type thing or a ponytail.
Yes.
Who's that?
He is just a supporter of hers. He is here with a Bible in his hand. I don't know what that means, but I have my rosary with me, so there you have it.
A man of faith.
Yes, a man of faith. She also, people were wondering from yesterday on who she hugged. That was one of her supporters who is also here in court again today. He is here with his wife. She has quite a few supporters here in the courtroom, some of which are in purple. And there were, I want to make this real clear because people all over Twitter and stuff were saying that the daughter was outside the courthouse. No, there are no protesters out there. Is no one carrying signs out there, least of all her daughter. Yeah. So I wanted to make that clear.
I didn't know there was a color to support a specific side here. I'm not on one side or the other. I'm trying to observe this as a juror.
Well, purple is DV because I'm a DV survivor, so I know purple is for DV.
If we can switch just for a little bit, the jury. Tell us a little bit how many. What have you been able to see so far? What's their behavior?
Okay, there's 9 altogether. 6 jurors, 3 alternates. 7 female, 2 male. Their ages, the one male is, I want to say, 60-ish, plus, maybe. The other male is 40-ish plus, maybe. All the other women are, I'm going to say, between the ages of early 50s into the 60s.
This is interesting. Depending on how they choose the alternates, it's possible we could have
an
all-female jury, deliberating jury.
It's possible. I didn't come for jury selection, so I have no earthly idea. Wow. Some of them are taking notes. They all have notepads. I could see that. Some of them are taking notes, but they're not avid note takers the way it was in Maya's trial. This jury is very different. Their eyes are mostly on either the defense attorney or the prosecutor and the witness. There's two women in the front row that do give glances. Hi, how are you? Glances over to Ashley. But for the most part, no one's looking at her. They're keeping their eyes on the attorneys.
I'll say this: Ashley is doing a good job of not drawing attention to herself in court when the jury's there. Yeah. She's very still. She doesn't make sudden movements. There's not a lot of reaction. Her face is fairly consistent throughout most of this. We have seen a little bit of eye dabbing at times during testimony, but she's not trying to get the jury's attention in any way.
No, she isn't. And I also would like to, because I did have the opportunity to see her very up close and personal. Now, you met Maya, so you know Maya's size and bone structure, okay? Her bone, now I'm talking about her bone structure, not her height. She's very, very slender and slight in body structure like Maya, but she's taller. Yes.
Can you give it? I don't know her height is. I think Doug was what, 5'8", I think.
I'm 5'3", and I'm gonna guess that she's about 5'6" or 7.
Okay.
But she's very, very slight. I mean, she's tiny in the way of bone structure and weight. So there's that. Anything else you want? Oh. And when her mom was done with her testimony, and they didn't release her from her subpoena, when she was exiting the courtroom, she had tears coming down. So you could tell she was not happy at the fact that she wasn't released.
I think part of that might have been relief to get off the stand as well. She was not happy on that stand, and just now she can't sit with her daughter or sit to support her daughter as well. I think that was a sneaky move by the state, and it does go to what you said initially. There's no love between these two parties. So
yeah, there isn't. There's a lot of the same players from Maya's trial, as far as coverage, are here.
Yeah.
So I ran
just
into
next
a
door.
lot of them.
Manatee and Saratoga, not far apart.
Well, it kind of sort of is. This is exit 220 on 75. Like Maya's trial, only took me 20 minutes to get to. This took me an hour and a half to get to.
But Florida traffic. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, true.
All right, Jules, we appreciate this. We'd love, as you follow all the rules and everything as you know how to do, we'd love to keep getting updates through this as this happens. I expect them to be going back in court here, and they'll probably be, ushered in just a moment. But thank you very much for being our eyes in court today, and keep us updated on anything you see.
Okay. Are you taking a lunch? What's the deal for lunch with you?
We'll be taking lunch when they take lunch. If you want to call in, then that might be the best time. We'll hold until you call, and then we'll take lunch after your call. Does that work?
Okay. I'm gonna head in. I'm gonna head back in now. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. I did say Saratoga, not Sarasota. Sorry. I don't know my Florida very well. I've only been there one time. It was just that one day. I've got corrected over and over and over. Sarah Lee says Greeners. What other Sarahs could I have said? Yes, I've been Sora to Tortuga. It's just as long as you get the first part in there, you're good. Do you want some chips? Yes. All right. So Jules is in the courthouse. I appreciate her calling in for that. She is rocking it. She's very good at what she does. She's done this a lot and loves it. So does an amazing job. I was saying before Jules called about watching the Olympics. We usually use a VPN to connect as if we're in England. But I was wondering if any tech guys out there, I realize I'm a little bit of a techie, but I was wondering if any tech guys had a good recommendation for like a high bandwidth VPN so I can connect. The reason why this works, basically, a VPN tells the internet that you're actually somewhere else than where you are. So you can connect to a VPN and say, I would like my IP address to show that I'm actually in London, or I'm in France, or I'm in Portugal, or in Canada, or something else. And when you do that, and then you log into a website, say like BBC, they say, where are you? Because we show you things based on where you are. And so that's how it works. NordVPN. Maybe we need a sponsor. We might need a sponsor now. Surfshark is currently unmatched. Okay, so I'm going to take some notes here. I'll do some research here on lunch because I think that the games have actually already started, even though they haven't had the opening ceremonies. They start early for some reason. Proton. Good stuff here. We'll be back in a few minutes. So while they wait for that. Oatmeal, welcome to the gallery. Love the name. Love the picture as well. That looks like a very delicious oatmeal. We have audio turned on. As soon as the court comes back, we'll bring that to you. Welcome, Oatmeal. We should have told you this before you joined, but it's a one-way door. You can never leave. But you're among friends here, so hope you enjoy living here now. Melissa says, Recovery Addict, I'm thinking the prosecution thinks Ashley's mom and Barbara knew that Ashley was going to do this. I think there's that feel, right? They're saying that you really never talked to her in all this time. She never told you what happened. She never told you how this went down. And everyone's saying, no, she never did. She's never talked about it, never given us a narrative. Best VPN is private internet access, PIA. Is that the brand? That's the one, whatever Scammer Payback YouTube channel has. Let's use their VPN. It's a good one. Ooh, lots of noise.
Folks, I need the audience to sit down and take your seats, please. We need to get started. I'm going to go ahead and bring the line up now.
So Jules is in black, the short sleeve just behind Ashley Benefield. That's our reporter who we just heard from on lunch, or Eyes in the Court. Stand Your Ground hearing took place, I thought, was in the last month or two. I'm leaning to try to see her, so turning your head might work too. Jurors entering. last September. Man, time flies.
Welcome back,
It's almost a year ago.
Hopefully no one started deliberations amongst yourselves, talked with anybody outside the jury about the case, did any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about?
No, sir.
No? All right. State, call your next witness.
State calls Stephanie Murphy.
Yes.
They approach. This was a request by the defense. Judge checks on Ashley. She can hear. All right, sorry, just checking a couple other things here. Contact Jelly Smack. Tell them you need VPN. All right. Jelly Smack. What a name. I mean, it's catchy. Looks like John Duncan. Welcome to the gallery. Brand new member here. Welcome, John. Good to have you with us, one of our newest members. Make sure you take a seat. One of the perks of membership, in addition to not being restricted by slow chat. Bailiff summons the witness, who I can't quite see because she's wearing camouflage. Oh, no. Just kidding. Vibrant dress. That just pops in this courtroom. It just pops. It's so bright.
Hello, ma'am.
Good morning, Judge.
My name is Judge White. I'm going to be presiding over the case. Get yourself about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, right. Just make yourself comfortable. Will you speak directly into the microphone with a loud, clear voice? We'll hear everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name.
Stephanie Murphy.
How do you spell first and last name?
Stephanie is Stephanie. Murphy is Murphy.
And what is your profession?
I'm an attorney.
How long have you been an attorney?
This is my 23rd year as an attorney, and actually in the Sarasota-Bradenton area.
And are you with a firm, sole practitioner? What do you do?
My husband and I have our own firm, and I've had that firm for 16 and a half, 17 years. Before that, I was at a larger firm in Sarasota.
And what is your topic of law that you practice?
I practice family law, which is generally comprised of divorce, custody cases, or what used to be called custody cases, and adoption cases.
Okay. I want to ask you about Doug Benefield. Did he hire you?
He did.
And approximately when did he hire you?
He hired me in March 2018. He came for a first consultation on the 13th. He hired me on the 14th of March 2018.
And what was the purpose of your duties to begin with?
Initially, the purpose of hiring me was to draft a letter to Ashley Benefield, who was pregnant with their child at the time, which I did. I drafted a letter and sent it the day after I was retained. But the purpose of that letter was actually just to initiate.
She is an attorney. She stopped mid-sentence without objection.
She stated that she sent a letter, that she was retained to send the letter. Now going to explain something.
Okay.
What was the purpose of the letter?
The purpose of the letter was to open the door for discussion about Doug's participation in the upcoming birth of their child, but also to advise that if she did not feel comfortable with him being present at the birth, he was respecting her need for space.
And when did you send that letter?
I sent that letter on March 15th at 9:59 in the morning by email to Ms. Benefield.
Okay. And did you receive a response to that letter?
I did not receive a response directly from Ms. Benefield. She checked herself into Tampa General the next day to start induction
Sustained.
So when was the child born?
Well, the child was born early. She was born on March 19th, I believe, is when she was finally born.
And you said early. How many weeks early was that?
Well, the child was originally scheduled, or her due date was April 8th. So I think...
Sustained.
Okay. So you said you never received a response?
Not from Ms. Benefield.
From Ms. Benefield about the letter?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, did Doug ever receive a response
to my knowledge, he did not receive any response from Ms. Benefield or anyone on her behalf.
Okay. And I think you might have said this, but the child was born on what day?
She was born on the 19th of March.
Okay. And at the time the child was born, did you or Doug know that the child was born?
No, gosh, we didn't know for a good 5 or 6 weeks after she was born.
Okay. And how did you find out that the child was born?
I actually found out because I had been monitoring the docket for Manatee County court system, just because there had been no response. And so on May 6th, I saw that Ms. Benefield had filed a petition for protection against domestic violence on, I think it was April 23rd. So about 2 weeks prior to me finding out, she had filed the petition. And in that filing, there was, she identified the birth date of the child, as well as I think the child's name, which is the first time we learned about that too.
Okay. And you said she filed a petition for, what did you call it?
It's a petition for protection against domestic violence. So it's an injunction. A lot of people refer to it as a restraining order, but it wasn't granted as an injunction at the time.
Okay. So when, just for knowledge of people that may not know, when someone does a request for an injunction, what is sort of the procedure that it needs to go through?
So a person who files a petition for an injunction, they file it at the courthouse in the clerk's office, and then that gets sent up to the judge, usually a family law judge who's just in charge of injunctions that day. And then the judge has 3 options, I believe. One is just to deny it completely. The second option is to grant a temporary injunction, but then there's a follow-up or a return hearing.
I'll overrule.
And then the third option is what happened in this particular case, is that the judge denied the petition as a temporary injunction, so there wasn't enough evidence in the petition to warrant a temporary injunction, but a hearing was set to review it.
Okay. And when was that hearing set approximately, to your knowledge?
I believe it was originally set for May 8th, but Ms. Benefield made a request to continue that hearing.
Okay, so it was then continued?
It was.
Before the hearing actually happened, did you file any documents on Doug's behalf?
I did. So, well, of course, I filed a notice of appearance in that injunction case. And then we started an entirely separate case. So I filed on Doug's behalf a petition for a parenting plan unconnected with divorce. And so he wanted to establish a parenting plan so that he had really time sharing and decision making for his daughter, because he had none of that up to that point because she was withholding all that information.
And some of the lingo may be familiar to us, but so time sharing, what is that?
I'm sorry. So time sharing is what lay people and a lot of people used to generally call visitation. So it used to have custody, parent had custody, and then another parent had visitation. That was changed, and now in Florida at least, and especially in our circuit, we have parenting plans, which is a comprehensive agreement or an order by the court that lays out all the details of parenting as a not intact family. So the major components are decision making and time sharing schedule. So how often the child spends with each parent.
And you said not connected with a divorce proceeding?
Right.
So I would assume that means it can either be with a divorce proceeding or without.
It can be, and of course it can be also in a paternity case, so parents don't have to be married. But in this case, because they were married, Doug was not initially pursuing a divorce because he hadn't had any contact with Ms. Benefield for a while. His initial...
Sustained.
Okay. So initially it was not connected with divorce.
Right. His priority was his daughter.
And you mentioned the injunction case and then your motions. Were they 2 different case numbers?
They were 2 different case numbers. So the injunction case number was 2018 DR 1823. And then the new case that I filed for Doug was 2018 DR 2318. Now, they're companion cases, though, so they might be separate cases, but they travel together as companion cases, and they're assigned to the same judge through this unified family court program.
Okay. So when the hearing was set and ultimately heard, were both of those case numbers heard?
Both of the case numbers were heard, but it wasn't our first pleading wasn't the same pleading that was heard at the time of the injunction.
Objection.
Objection non-responsive.
Non-responsive to their question.
Sustained.
So what generally were the allegations in the injunction petition?
Smart.
Generally, Ms. Benefield was alleging that Doug had been violent toward her. She alleged that he had hit the dog, fired a gun into the ceiling. The biggest allegation was that he was poisoning her and their child in utero with heavy metals.
Okay.
That's interesting. The state's own witness just brought the.
When was this
fired the gun
hearing
to the
finally
ceiling.
held?
The hearing was held in two parts, actually. It was July 30th, and then the second part was September 17th.
Not responsive to the question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
And that was the year 2018, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And what judge was this in front of?
It was in front of Diana Moreland.
Okay.
This attorney is amazing.
And you said it was held on 2 days. Why was it held on 2 different days?
It took a very long time. So we had, both sides had experts, toxicologists, and we had a number of other witnesses appearing. We had.
Objection. Not responsive to the question.
Overruled.
There were also people from the child protective team testifying. And so there were too many hours, and so we couldn't squeeze it all into one day.
Okay. And ultimately, at the end of this, did Judge Moreland make a decision?
At the end of that, she did. There were other decisions along the way, but ultimately she made a decision on the two matters that were set as the companion cases.
And what I meant was on the second hearing day, did she make a decision?
Yes, she did. September 17th.
And what was that decision?
There were two parts because, there was two cases.
Objection, Your Honor. Just final decision.
For the prior motion?
Yes.
Yeah. Overruled.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. For the injunction, she made a lot of rulings and a lot of findings about lack of evidence and then denied the petition.
We don't want to talk about what went into that. We just want to know what her ruling was.
Okay, she denied the injunction. So that was the first part.
Okay. And then the second part.
To say that.
The second part was on the parenting plan case, the time-sharing case. And so in that, she entered a ruling for a time-sharing schedule. That would be an introduction schedule because Doug at that point had never met his daughter, and that would increase over time on a temporary basis. And then she entered a ruling that he would have ultimate decision-making authority over the child's medical needs and otherwise share decision-making.
Overruled.
Objection relevance.
And otherwise, I'm sorry.
Otherwise share parent responsibility, which is joint decision-making.
Okay. And as of that day, was Judge Moreland's ruling timed? Like, was it immediate? Was it in the future for the time sharing?
It was immediate. Well, not that day, but she said the first day, and it was just a couple of days later, the 21st, which is when Doug was supposed to meet his daughter for the first time.
Okay. And this time that Doug met his daughter for the first time, were you present?
I was, yes.
Okay. And where did this happen?
It happened at Manatee County Sheriff's Department on, I think it's 301.
Did you arrive together or separate with Doug?
Oh, we arrived separately. When I got there, Doug was already there.
Okay. And how old approximately was the baby at the time?
I think she was around 6 months old. She was born in March, and this was then the 21st of September. It's about 6 months.
And can you explain how that interaction went? Did you observe it, first of all?
I did.
Okay,
so when I arrived, I got into Doug's truck, and we just waited because we were there early. And then he saw Ashley arrive with the baby. And so he pulled the truck closer, and then we both got out of the car. and started walking toward Ashley, and then it was just an odd kind of interaction, actually. She turned to me with this nasty look on her face and said to Doug,
I'll sustain as to the characterization.
Nasty look.
She turned to Doug and said, "Are you dating her?" And so obviously we both said, "Well, of course not, no." And then I hung back, and Doug then was standing there, and Ashley approached him with Emerson, and they started talking. Eventually she let him hold the baby, and they just kept talking for a few minutes. Then I was advised that they were going to be leaving together, strangely, that Ashley was going to be going with them for the time sharing.
Was this a surprise to you?
Absolutely. We had just been in knockdown, drag out litigation for months with just horrendous allegations that were unfounded. And yet she said, "I want to go with you." And he said, "Okay."
Objection to the characterization of the allegations being unfounded and continued editorializing by this witness.
Can we approach?
Sustained.
Sustained. Yeah, you can approach, but it's sustained. I changed my mind, says the judge. This lawyer, she knows how to play the game, and she's getting stuff in that she should not be able to get in. The question where they talked about the judge ruling that there was no evidence, anything, they're not supposed to talk about that. They're only supposed to talk about the final ruling. She's squeezing little bits and pieces that are juicy, that are great for the state, and the defense hates it, so he's objecting to almost every single, not question, but answer. Okay, and a big smile there from the witness, probably towards, I'm guessing that's Eva from the direction she was looking. But yeah, she's doing a great job.
So when they told you they were going together, what was your response?
I pulled Doug aside and I cautioned him about going with her. I advised, his attorney, and so I did advise him. I said, "This isn't a good idea. She's trying to set you up for something. Don't do this." And he said, "I understand. I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway." And so I stayed and observed as Ashley strapped the car seat into the back of the truck. And she got in the truck with Doug, and then they left together for his first time sharing with his baby. Okay. For their baby.
So after this first time sharing, did this seem to start a time of peace, so to speak?
It was a time of peace. Actually, before the 26th, but on the 26th, Doug and Ashley both signed a stipulation that I had drafted at Doug's request, which expanded the time sharing that Judge Moreland had ordered at the hearing on the 17th. So within a week, they had already agreed that he was going to have even more time sharing than Judge Moreland had said. Okay. And so that was filed in the court file. It took away the restriction of meeting at the sheriff's office if they chose.
Non-responsive.
So yes, that was the beginning of a time of peace that extended for quite a period of time.
Okay. And during this time, well, how long did that last, the peace?
It lasted, to my knowledge, about 11 months.
Okay. Oh. And during this 11 months, did you see Doug and Ashley?
I saw them in magazines. Actually, they were attending gala events together, and so they were kind of the
speculative and hearsay.
So other than seeing them together at the sheriff's office, I didn't personally observe them out in public, but I did. Like I said, I saw them in various forms of media. They're quite the couple.
Okay. And you said this peace lasted about 11 months. What broke this peace, to your knowledge?
Well, it was my understanding from Doug that they were getting ready to move in.
Let's not talk about what happened with what Doug said was supposed to happen. But during this time, did Ashley stop speaking to him?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear the question.
During this time, did Ashley stop speaking to Doug?
Judge, I'll let you know it calls for hearsay.
Effect on the listener.
Overruled.
Thank you. They continuously spoke to one another for 11 months until August 16th of 2019.
Judge, I thought that was a yes or no question. Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Okay. So
So good.
around this
Loving
time,
this.
you said November 16th?
August 16th of 2019.
Okay. What happened at this time?
Doug was supposed to be moving in with Ashley and her mother, Alicia. He had moved all of his things in.
And we're not going to talk about the specifics of that.
Counsel, I'm sorry to interrupt. I request the instruction from the court about.
Can we not do speaking objections?
Do you need to approach?
Wow. The counter's flying this morning, up to 75 already. Love the witness, first of all. She's incredibly smart. She has a very sharp recollection of events. She was close enough to the situation where she had a great understanding of what was going on. The advice she gave Doug when they showed up for the first child sharing, child shared parenting, I forget what the term is. Child sharing probably isn't the right term. Co-parenting session, I don't know what you want to call that, was like, don't do it. She's setting you up. As your attorney, time sharing, that's that time sharing. I love it. I love this attorney. I love the drama that's going on in court because we have three attorneys who understand the rules pretty well. Okay. Three seasoned attorneys, all in a conversation with the judge as a referee, and it's just going nuts. Apparently there was a pretrial decision that there would be a statement read by the judge at a specific point in the trial. Defense has called for that. I didn't hear what the statement was specifically, but I love the irony of the state saying, "Can we not have speaking objections?" Okay, it's literally a speaking objection. Oh, it's good. It's really good. I'm loving this. Time sharing, like she's a vacation package. Yeah, okay, so time sharing is the right thing. Man. I think I got good advice that I should probably sign up for Peacock for a month, which I think is $8. So I think I can swing that. I'll get my family to watch. They say they show all the Olympics on Peacock. You can stream every event. So I'm like, yeah, that might be the way to do it. Mandy Strong, what did he say? Doug just wanted to see his baby and Ashley wasn't having it. False allegations didn't work, so she set out in plan B. Yeah, I don't want to break any rules or laws. So me just paying for that is the best option. And $8 for a month of Olympic viewing is
All right, members of the jury, this is one of those situations that's going to take us a few minutes, so I'm going to excuse you back to the jury room. Again, please don't begin the deliberations amongst yourselves. Please don't contact or speak with anyone outside of the jury about this case. Don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about, but certainly you can use your phones and everything else to communicate with folks. Thank you.
I might do a VPN for BBC as well because I love some of their coverage and commentary.
All right, the jury's out. You can all have a seat. Ms. Murphy, at this point, I'm going to excuse you from the courtroom so we can have our hearing. Ma'am, the rule of sequestration has been invoked. You're not to discuss your testimony or the questions that have been asked with anyone, including the attorneys, any other witnesses, any third parties. You're not to talk with other witnesses about questions they were asked or testimony they provided. And it's my understanding this may be on the internet somehow, so you're not supposed to watch anything at all that's happening within these four walls. Okay. Thank you.
It's like, I don't use the internet, but somehow this court is on the internet. Okay, this is the moment. The jury has been excused. The witness is about to be excused out of the courtroom, or she is. She's leaving now. This is the moment previously that was the spiciest of yesterday. The discussion that happens between the two attorneys and the judge right here. So we'll see where this goes. This might be epic, or it might just be a dud. We'll see.
All right, the witness is out of the courtroom. Do you have...
Judge, I don't have a specific instruction. We may need to craft one, but what I'm looking for so that the court knows is an instruction to the jurors that these hearsay statements that have been repeated by the witness thus far, and for purposes of the remainder of her testimony, the other statements she will undoubtedly try to get out, are not being offered for the truth of the matter, but rather being offered for whatever reason that the court wants to ascribe to provide the context to her narrative in response to the question.
So as I said, go ahead, do you want to be heard?
No.
So as I said, I'm not aware of a standard jury instruction in the 2.1 to whatever it is, 2.8 range or 2.9 range that does that very thing. So I want to give the parties the opportunity with the jury not present to look and see if there's a standard jury instruction.
I don't think...
I can give it. Like I said, I drafted one for a prior homicide trial where there were a number of statements that were admitted by me, by the decedent, where there were objections, just like we're having now, numerous objections to hearsay. But obviously none of them were being offered by the state for the truth of the matter asserted. That's what was argued, and I made that finding. So in order to have just a blanket instruction, I crafted the following, and the parties ratified it. So I gave it specific to the decedent's statements in that case to... It was either an attorney or some sort of financial planner about some final wishes. And here's what it says. You are about to hear statements made by declarant, and I put the name in. These statements are relevant only to explain the reaction and responses that they elicit. That is, the effect those statements had on a reader or a listener, because there was also a letter that was involved. You are not to consider the statements by declarant's name as true, but only to establish the context of readers' or listeners' actions, reactions, and responses.
That'll be fine, Your Honor.
Except for the you are about to hear me, because they've already heard some, so.
So the court want to substitute you've already heard and may continue to hear. And by suggesting that, I'm not suggesting that I agree to the further admission of hearsay or her interpretation that's not directly responsive to the question.
So reserving on other objections. And certainly there may be objections you have as we go where you think that they are not being offered for the effect on the listener, and that it's hearsay without exception. So those still may come up. All right, so when we bring the jury back in, you want me to give that instruction?
Please.
You have heard and may continue to hear statements made by Doug Benefield to Stephanie Murphy. These statements are relevant only to explain the reactions and responses that they elicit. That is, the effect those statements had on Ms. Murphy.
If I may, Your Honor?
Yes.
I would suggest that it just name Stephanie Murphy, not Doug Benefield, because I think in her testimony it's been broader than that. So I think by identifying the instruction as it relates to this witness, the jurors will consider the testimony appropriate.
All right. right, so let me go through this again because I have declarant and recipient, reader or listener. So you have to tell me where you're talking about.
Sure.
You are about to hear statements made by Doug Benefield.
Yeah.
These statements are relevant only to explain the reactions and responses that they elicited, that is, the effect those statements had on Ms. Murphy. You are not to consider the statements made by Doug Benefield as true, but only to establish the context of Stephanie Murphy's actions, reactions, and responses.
Okay, so here's my concern. For example, Ms. Murphy also testified about Judge Moreland and about a couple of the medical records and things like that. And I would prefer, and I think the fairest interpretation would be, ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Murphy has previously said and may continue to refer to out-of-court statements. You are instructed that these statements, if and when made, you should not consider them for the truth of the matter asserted, but rather for context as it relates to Stephanie Murphy's testimony. That's how I think appropriately it should read, Your Honor.
He's not going to do that.
Response?
I don't think he's safe for the truth of the matter.
Judge, I think these things that he's talking about were objected to and they were stopped. So I don't know that it's better to highlight it anyway, but I don't know if adding names in of people to fit this, statements of Doug Benefield, this person, that person, this person, I don't know that that would be effective to the jury. So I'm a little confused about how to handle it.
All right. Any final thoughts?
No.
All right. I'm open to giving limiting instructions, curative instructions that are suggested by the parties. However, the most recent one proposed by the defense, I don't think is legally accurate.
Yeah, he's not going to go that
It would
I think it would
be
confuse
telling the
them.
jury to disregard testimony and evidence that's already been presented. I thought the request from the defense, because the objection came specific to Doug Benefield was supposed to move in with the defendant, and that's where we stopped. So it was my understanding that the instruction that was requested was specific to any statements made by Doug Benefield to Stephanie Murphy, that those are only relevant to explain the subsequent actions and effect that those statements had on Miss Murphy, and telling the jury not to consider the statements by Doug Benefield as true, but only to establish the context of Miss Murphy's subsequent actions, reactions, and responses. I don't think the limiting instruction proposed by the defense is the correct one to give. So I'm open to considering language that we can talk about some more, but no, the one you just said I don't think is appropriate.
All right, well, what we're,
Becky, welcome to the gallery.
that we're trying to give the jurors is that when this witness makes hearsay statements, that the jurors should not necessarily receive that information as true, that it is being offered rather not for the truth, but to show the effect that it had on this witness. After all, that's what this witness is testifying to. She did not limit it just to what Doug told her, Judge. She's referred several times to what she heard from Ashley. She's referred to medical records and to allegations. She's also referred to Judge Moreland's decisions. She's expanded upon them. She's incorporated hearsay into her testimony. This was why I approached the bench before she took the stand. So I anticipated this. That's the way she's conducted herself in the deposition and in all of her prior statements. So what I want, respectfully, Your Honor, on behalf of Ms. Benefield, what I want the jurors to understand is that as it relates to Ms. Murphy's characterizations based on hearsay, that they should not receive it for the truth of the matter asserted. Rather, they should receive it to show the impact that it had on Ms. Murphy.
Response.
Judge, first of all, anything that Ms. Benefield said is not hearsay, so it does not qualify under any of this analysis. I do not believe she said anything about medical records. I may be wrong. She did start to mention that she checked herself into the hospital. There was an objection, and she stopped speaking. So I would agree that that your idea is correct and that should be the instruction.
Final thoughts.
Judge is really thinking this one over.
So, everything that a defendant says is not necessarily admissible. It's not necessarily relevant. It's not necessarily an admission. For example, Judge, if during the course of all of this, Ms. Benefield may have stated how much she loved this routine of a mouse named Topo Gigio, I think we could agree that would have no relevance.
I got a smile from
And if
Ashley.
This witness wanted to get up and talk about that merely because that is something that Ashley Benefield repeated, that wouldn't make it acceptable. So I vehemently disagree with Ms. O'Donnell's statement that anything the defendant says is admissible. And I'm concerned about the editorializing by Ms. Murphy being interpreted by the jury as truth, as unvarnished and documented conclusions. And so I would like the jurors to know basically the definition of hearsay. I would like the court to instruct them that it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It's an exception, and it can be considered to show how this witness reacted to it. That way, Judge White, it expands the parameters wide enough that the instruction would include hearsay from any source that Ms. Murphy refers to, whether it be Ms. Benefield, whether it be Doug Benefield, whether it be the hospital records, or Judge Moreland.
You argued that pretty well. I think it might have had some impact on the judge.
Thank you very much. At this point, I don't plan on giving any sort of cautionary or limiting instruction.
No.
I haven't heard the parties agree on language. It doesn't sound like the language I've suggested is acceptable to both sides. So at that point, we'll just continue with the question, objection, ruling.
Defense pushed too hard. You should have said it's good enough.
As to the request regarding editorializing and characterizing, I'm going to sustain on those grounds. There's been, I think my information in front of me is that Ms. Murphy is a fact witness. All right. The request that I give the definition of hearsay to the jury is denied. As we all know, the determination of legal matters, including whether a statement is hearsay or not, or any sort of evidence is hearsay, that's a judicial matter, not a legal. It's a legal question, not a factual question for the jury. Those are my decisions. I'll note that it is already factored into a court's ruling If a statement is offered, if an out-of-court statement is offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted in the statement, it is hearsay. The issue then becomes, is there a recognized exception to that statement or to that hearsay? And is it relevant and material to the case? That's how I'll continue to make my decisions, subject to the objections and the arguments that are made. Are we ready to bring the jury back in?
I didn't have one scheduling question, if it's okay with Your Honor. We have, after Ms. Murphy, we have 2 law enforcement officers here. And then our next witnesses are Dr. Broder and Dr. Quintal. Do you feel like I'm safe in telling them they could come after lunch? That was when they were originally scheduled, but they have patients and they're asking if they need to cancel to come early.
I have no idea how long these next I don't know how long Ms. Murphy's going to take. I don't know how long the next 2 witnesses are going to take.
Well,
I have no idea.
I guess the question is, Judge, if we end at 11:30 or 11:40, are you going to want to take a lunch, or do I need to have Dr. Broder here because he's with patients right now, so I need to be able to tell him. We originally thought he was after lunch.
You mean with Ms. Murphy?
We have Ms. Murphy and then 2 other witnesses we plan to do before lunch. I just want to know if I'm safe to tell the doctors they can come after lunch so they don't cancel patients.
My habit would be if we finish with witnesses around 11:45, unless that very next witness was both sides agreed it's going to be just 5 minutes, I would probably take a lunch break at that point.
Thank you. I had asked it poorly. That was my question. I just want to be safe in releasing them so that, Your Honor, so we can keep moving. Or not releasing them, putting them after lunch. 1:30? Should I tell them 1:30?
It depends on when we finish this morning.
I'll just tell them it's after lunch for now. Thank you, Judge.
I do my job, you do yours.
Are you ready to bring the jury back in?
Yes.
Defense? All right, let's bring Ms. Murphy in first.
We will bring the jury.
Angela, thank you very much for the gifted membership. Laura Fry, member for 2 months. Love your channel, RA. Thank you very much, Laura. Ulala Pat, member for 8 months. Missed some spices a little bit. It hasn't been as spicy as yesterday, but it's been good. The Defense Rest, member for 3 months, has been watching since before Cavalcante. Love being part of this amazing community. Thank you. Would not be the same without you, Defense Rest. Oatmeal, welcome to the gallery. John Duncan, welcome to the gallery. Brand new members today, welcome them. Crystal H is here. Thank you, RA, and the entire RA community for always being accepting, wonderful, and helpful. This truly is the best community on YouTube and off.
All right, Ms. Murphy, have a seat. As you're settling in, did you discuss your testimony with anyone else outside of this room?
No.
Did anybody try to approach you and discuss anything about this case?
No.
Did you watch anything or any of the proceedings?
No.
All right, ma'am, while you were outside, I did sustain 2 objections that were raised by the defense, and that is some of your testimony has been editorial rather than factual and has been characterizations of observations as opposed to observations.
Okay.
So just FYI, I did sustain those 2 objections.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're just going to keep having questions and answers. I'll rule on objections as we go.
Great. Thank you.
Jamie, member for 11 months.
We will bring the jury.
Says, love it here. Great group, and RA is the best. Thank you, Jamie, for the kind words, and thanks for your 11 months of support. Luca, member for 8 months. Big hello to the loveliest community on YouTube. Donuts for everyone. And a big five gifted memberships from John Duncan. Thank you all. You guys are amazingly generous, and I appreciate your support.
All right, y'all can have a seat. Welcome back, everybody. Did anybody begin discussions amongst yourselves, talk with anybody outside the jury about the case, or do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about?
No, sir.
Everybody says no. All right, you may resume your question.
And I believe as we left off, Ashley and Doug were not speaking to each other. Pretty much not speaking to each other.
Right, beginning on August 16th, 2019, they were not speaking to each other.
Okay. And as a result of that, did you ultimately file anything on Doug's behalf?
I ultimately did, yes.
Okay, and what was that?
We filed gosh, let me think back. It was so many years ago now.
Thank you, my girl Angie. 15 months.
A series of things, but one of the first things that we filed was an amended petition for divorce. And so it was actually a motion for leave to amend with the amended petition attached to it, which is the procedure.
So that ultimately means it was not seeking divorce before, but now the petition is.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. And still the parenting plan with some additional allegations, but that's what the main first pleading was.
Okay. And at some point after this was filed, did you get information that there had been complaints filed against Doug Benefield?
Yes, I did. So that amended petition was filed, I think, November 6th or 5th of 2019. And then within a month, I learned that there was a series of complaints filed with.
Object, hearsay.
I'll sustain.
Ultimately, these complaints that were filed against Mr. Benefield, were they documented or filed in any way in your casework, in your cases?
Object, relevance.
I'll overrule.
So, of course, we didn't attach them as exhibits to our next pleading, but we did file an amendment.
Object, editorialize.
Sustained. That would ask for a yes or a no.
Okay.
Wow.
Can you repeat the question for me?
Those complaints, did they make their way, the information at least, into your filings in your cases?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, did Ashley file an injunction request based on these allegations?
Yes.
Okay. And around this time, was there a psychological evaluation ordered with Dr. Broder?
It was not ordered by the court.
Here comes the objection.
There was a psychological evaluation that was put into place through, I believe, the Child Protective
Objection,
Team.
editorialize.
There it is.
How many times?
How many times that speaking objection? You're pushing it.
So an evaluation was recommended.
I sustained it.
I request an instruction from the court to disregard the last answer.
Move to strike.
Members of the jury, I have sustained an objection. When we had our initial instructions, the preliminary instructions on Monday morning, I want to remind you one of those very important instructions. If an objection is made, you are not to guess or speculate as to why it was made. Likewise, you are not to guess or assume or speculate what the answer might have been had the objection not been sustained and the witness had been allowed to answer. So you're to disregard those last answers.
As part of this process,
Sufficient?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
As part of the process of these cases in court, did Ashley and Doug Benefield, to your knowledge, see a Dr. Broder?
It should be a
Yes,
yes
they
or
did.
no.
For a psychological evaluation?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know when this petition for injunction filed by Ashley was set for a hearing?
I don't remember the date that it was initially set because she filed a motion to continue.
Objection.
There it is. Should be a yes or no.
Cases.
Editorializing, not responsive to the question.
Overrule.
We'll add that
Go
one.
ahead.
It was continued several times after she filed a motion for mediation, and then eventually it was scheduled to occur, I believe it was September 30th of 2020.
Okay. So you said it was continued several times because of a mediation. So just what is a mediation and how does that play in?
Okay, so mediation is a settlement conference that takes place. It generally involves the parties as well as their attorneys, and then a neutral person who's generally a certified family court mediator. And so what generally happens is a mediator goes back and forth between each side to try to work out an agreement. And in this case, it was ordered by Judge Moreland in response to Ms. Benefield's motion.
To do the mediation?
Correct.
Okay. And did you participate in the mediation?
I did, of course.
And also Doug and Ashley Benefield?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did some of the focus of the hearing coming up change?
In anticipation of the mediation, yes, the focus of the upcoming hearing on the 30th changed.
Okay. And in what way did that change?
Earlier in September, I think on the 17th, Doug and Ashley signed a joint motion to release the psychological evaluation reports in the divorce case, in the 2018 DR 2318 case. Because in that situation, the psychological evaluations had not been ordered by Judge Moreland. They were put into place through.
Not responsive, editorializing.
I'll sustain on the narrative.
So they did a joint motion to release the psychological evaluation.
Yes.
And is that fairly typical? It's needed in this realm to get that result released to the parties.
Oh, of course.
Objection, relevance, it's what's taken place in this case.
A judge would not just release, is not able to. Oh, I'm sorry, Judge, I apologize.
A judge doesn't release that report unless
the judge orders that it can be released.
Okay. And Doug and Ashley did a joint motion for that to happen.
They did.
And to your knowledge, what was their path forward from that point?
The path that went into place was they were reconciling and moving to Maryland.
Speculation as to what the path forward was.
And so when we were leading up to the week that he was killed, it was agreed upon that they were going to result in an impasse of the mediation because they were reconciling, and then the hearing on the 30th, the week after, was only going to be to release a psychological evaluation report.
Okay.
And they were going to pursue the move to Maryland.
Okay. So ultimately, the only thing that was supposed to happen at this hearing on September 30th was the release of the psychological event.
That was it. That was it.
Okay.
Thank you, Lily Wayne. 7 months. Appreciate your support.
And do you recall what day of the week that was, September 30th?
I believe it was Wednesday. So the mediation was a Thursday prior to the killing, and then the hearing was supposed to be Wednesday the 30th.
Okay.
Mary Kay, very generous words. Thank you so much.
And what day was
18
Doug
months.
killed?
Sunday night.
And that would be the 27th?
Yes.
And who was the judge going to be at this hearing on the 30th?
It was still Diane Moreland. She was still the judge on the case.
And at all times that you dealt with Doug, did he ever seem to you overly angry or aggressive about things?
No, I thought Doug was never angry. He was very mellow and matter of fact. It was a point of contention between us, actually.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cross.
Let's see how this goes. Started the day at 38 objections.
Good morning, Mr. Taylor.
83 now.
We've met on a few occasions, have we not?
Yes, we have.
And we meet again this morning.
It's lovely to see you.
So your specialty is family court.
Family law, yes.
And you've been practicing family law, I think you've told us, 23 years. You have your own firm, you and your husband.
Yes.
And in that capacity in family law, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you litigate matters in family court, there are rules and procedure that apply to family court, are there not?
In all courts, including family court, yes.
Okay, such as the rules of evidence.
Yes.
The rules of procedure, family court procedure.
Yes.
I'm loving this.
And ethical obligations as well.
That's correct.
Those always govern your behavior with respect to the tribunal, the court, correct?
All of our behavior, yes, that's correct.
She's pointing the finger back at him.
Are you
Sunshine Girl,
familiar
welcome.
with
17
Florida
months.
Bar Rules of Professional Conduct?
Relevance, Judge?
I'll overrule.
Oh, we get to go there. It's going to get
I don't know
spicy.
where this is going, so I'll overrule for a moment.
Thank you.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, Rule 4-3.3, candor toward the tribunal.
I'm familiar with that rule.
All right. You're familiar with that rule's obligation of a duty to disclose false evidence.
I don't have the rule in front of me, so if you want me to read and see if that's exactly in the rule, I can certainly take a look at it. I'm generally familiar with the obligation to provide candor to the court.
Yes, and to disclose if evidence is inaccurate. I think
Yes,
we
exactly.
can agree on that, correct?
Of course.
That would include, would it not, a failure to correct a materially false statement of fact?
Yes, I'm aware that that exists, but I don't see how that could apply to my case with Doug.
All right, well, let's see. I want to ask you about a sequence of events now relating to the litigation that you mentioned to us between Doug Benefield and Ashley Benefield.
Was this the injunction you're referring to or the divorce case?
I'll be very specific in my questions, if you'll be patient for a moment.
Of course.
Ashley Benefield files her domestic violence petition on April 23rd of 2018. Is that correct?
I believe that date is correct, yes.
Just so there's no mistake, she then, correct me if I'm wrong, because you seem to have the dates mastered, Ms. Benefield then files a petition for divorce and temporary TPR on May 31st of 2018.
I don't remember the date that she filed those, but she filed, those would be, I think, separate things. And so in response to the petition for parenting plan unconnected with divorce that I filed on Doug's behalf, she filed an answer and a counter petition seeking divorce.
So your answer for purposes of my question was you don't recall the date.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. And it wasn't that
May
she
I
just
approach the witness?
Yes.
See if this refreshes your recollection as to the date.
I need to get my reading glasses, Mr. J.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. There are subtle jabs in here. They're just under, when she says, yeah, I'm familiar with the rules that apply to all lawyers. She's jabbing him back. And he's saying, it seems you have the dates
While you're
mastered.
looking at it, when I refer to the initials TPR, what does that stand for?
Termination of parental rights.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. You're right. This is the 31st of May. And she did file a separate case. I had forgotten that.
Well, the question pending was, does that refresh your recollection as to the date?
As to the date, yes. The contents, no.
Was I correct in my statement to you that the date was May 31st, 2018?
Yes.
Now, would you take a look, if you need to refresh your recollection, as to count 2, specifically paragraph 5? Ms. Benefield makes some allegations there, does she not?
She does.
All right. On June 19th of 18, you file Mr. Benefield's answer.
I don't remember that.
May I approach?
Mr. Taylor has all the receipts.
Let's
So
see
he's
if this
refreshing the
refreshes
recollection.
your recollection.
He's settling a score from another hearing. Something completely different, and he's bringing that to settle the score in this case.
Is the date
He's doing it through impeachment.
19th, 2018?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And that's your answer, is it not?
This is Doug's answer that I drafted and filed on his behalf.
That
yes.
you drafted and filed on his
Yes,
behalf.
correct.
And in response to paragraph 5 of Ms. Benefield's petition, you deny it, do you not?
Objection relevance, Judge?
Oh, I think.
I'll overrule on those grounds.
Yeah, thank you, Judge.
The state opened the door on this because she testified to them, and now defense is digging in deeper and possibly using this
Ms. Murphy,
impeachment.
my question was, if you would look at paragraph 5, do you enter a denial?
I'm sorry, it's number 5 is 7 pages long, so I was just checking to see if that was correct.
Well,
yes, we denied these allegations that he committed those acts during pregnancy.
Now, as part of that action, your client, Doug Benefield, submits to a deposition 27 days later on July 17, 2018, does he not?
I don't remember that exact date, but he did submit to a deposition around that time frame.
Okay, and in that deposition, while...
Sustained.
Your Honor, she opened the door.
There's a good argument.
She's already talked about...
Would you like to approach?
Yes.
Yes.
This is going to be a spicy conversation. What we said is they opened the door because in asking this witness about these other court hearings that happened and the other procedures that went on, I think that opened the door because they can't just get one side in. Defense then gets an opportunity to have their say or their angle or some questions about that event brought in as well. And so here he's arguing, and I think he's got a strong point to argue that the door was opened on this, and we're going to be able to get the details, even though there's a pretrial ruling, because those pretrial rulings, they're set up as guidelines, but you can stray from that, and the judge can reverse a decision or say, yeah, you asked for this decision, I granted it pretrial, but then you went and stepped in it. And now that we've stepped in it, we all have to deal with it. So out goes the pretrial ruling because you opened the door. So this is spicy, and this is lawyer versus lawyer, which I think is some of the best courtroom drama we've ever seen, with the exception of Dr. Joe down there in the Maya trial. Love this drama. This courtroom drama is epic. Okay. Ashley's saying, yes, she's very involved in this. She has been throughout all this. She's listening to all the sidebars. That is her right. Florida, they recognize that right, and so she's listening to what's happening at the sidebar. I think the judge is leaning towards allowing this in, although I don't know what the details are. He might be hearing what those details are now, and he might say, based on what they are, no, I'm not. But the fact that they opened the door, they objected on relevance, and he's like, no, you allowed it, and this is sort of impeaching. He's talked about this credibility issue, and if there's a credibility issue with this witness, I think the defense has the right to be able to go into that, especially if it relates to something that she just testified to. This is just going to her credibility. It'll be towards impeaching the witness. We know that it has something to do with the lawyer's responsibility. They call it candor to the court. If a lawyer knows, like for a fact, personal knowledge, that something their witness said is false, they have a duty to correct that. Even though it's their witness on the stand, they have to say, Judge, Your Honor, I have to make let you know that I have personal knowledge that what we just heard with testimony was false. They have to do that. That's one of their oaths. As an officer of the court, they have this duty, and that's the premise that was laid out. Saying, do you remember this little part in the rules, right? That you have this duty. You know what that means, right? We've covered that. You understand that? So let's with that basis, let's go back and talk about this thing you guys, the state just brought up with you. Oh man. Let's see. I apologize if this has been answered already, but do you know if Doug had a previous accusation against him for abuse? I know there was a lot during this back and forth. Basically, it was a messy dispute. It was a messy separation, and leading to divorce procedure type stuff. It was messy, and some of the stuff, I would say a lot of the stuff, the family court looked at and said there's no evidence that any of that happened. Any of the stuff that I'm talking that Ashley Benefield brought up, that exact finding, I think there's a pretrial ruling that they can't go too far into that and say, that she basically. There was not a scintilla of evidence that anything had occurred. Let's see. See what the questions are. Yes, we have Jules in the courtroom. She's actually there she's put on her jacket. She's got the white jacket on 2 rows back behind Miss Benefield. That's our eyes in the court. That is Jules. She'll be calling us on lunch to give us an update on what she observes in there. What's the story regarding Whitney? All I know is that Nick Whitney is no longer on the case. I know he was with the firm. I believe he's no longer with Mr. Anderson's firm. So I don't know if he's moved on, had another job opportunity. I don't know if there was a falling out, or it's just like, look, I did what I came here to do. Nick is it's an ambitious guy. He's got all the world ahead of him. A young lawyer doing very, very well. So that's exciting. He got probably the win of his career, like early in his career. So. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Jules can give us a little bit of update on that. I've not heard from. I could reach out to the Andersons or Nick and ask them directly. All we know is that that's the update we've heard. They might not want to talk about it. It might just be, just regular stuff. Jules will call in. She's called in once already. She'll call in at lunch as well. All right. I thought Nick was with him on the same law firm. Very long sidebar. Oops. Got the audio turned down so it won't blast our eardrums when we come back. Take a break when there's a sidebar. What is going on right now? We've got a sidebar. We've got the defense is trying to bring in some, I believe, impeachment material against the witness, who is a lawyer, not just a lawyer. She was Doug. Her name is Stephanie Murphy. She was Doug's lawyer. Doug was the victim in this case, and so she was involved in all the happenings between Ashley and Doug, and their child, and visitation and everything else. And she's testified and done a very good job, very convincingly, and probably to the detriment of Ashley. She's shared a lot of information that's been quite juicy. And now the defense is trying to impeach her credibility. Obviously, the jury has probably written quite a few notes about what they heard from this witness, and they want to have some of that scribbled out, or at least not written in bold on those notepads. Michael NCF just gifted 20 memberships. Michael, thank you very much. Thank you. That is huge. Thank you so much. 20 brand new members or returning members. Make sure you take your seat. Haven't seen one scintilla of info outside of the court for this one. Kind of refreshing. Cricket, I'm sort of the same. I haven't been following a lot of the pretrial stuff. We watched just the very beginning of pretrial motions just before jury selection, and that got pretty spicy, which got me very interested in this. But I know there's a lot of news coverage on this, and sometimes the news hits and sometimes it misses. We're sort of watching this as a jury on this one, and getting to see it play by play as it happens. Jury never forgets testimony, says Myron Sanchez, for their deliberations at the end. Jennifer, it's like YouTube skipped me again. I don't know why. It does that. Mandy Winslow, thanks for the huge super chat. Thank you for support. You got that yellow courthouse. Love your support. Thank you for being here. I wonder if they go into this, the prosecution is say, okay, but we get to go into it. Did anything come from this? I don't know. In this sidebar, I'm not sure if the judge is getting all the details, saying, I want to see the end from the beginning here. Tell me what you're shooting for. What is the get that you're trying to get from this witness? I'm not sure if he's doing that, or if they're just looking at this point. A lot of times judges won't look too far ahead. They're reluctant to rule based on the end result. Instead, they look on the procedure and was it lawful to get to that point. Amber, are you there?
I'm here. I'm going to make it quick because I don't know how long the sidebar is going to be. I just wanted to take a minute and remind everybody that DV is incredibly real. No matter where you are at on this case, I personally have missed so much. I have no idea what's going on, and I have no opinion. But DV is certainly a real issue that a lot of people have lived through, survived, still going through, know somebody that's going through. I myself have been a survivor of and advocate for. So when we talk about the possibility of DV, understand a lot of people have been in this particular scenario, regardless if you believe it applies here.
Okay, we're
let's
coming
just
back.
be a little in our comments. All right, thanks. Bye, guys.
Early lunch.
Early
It's
lunch.
about 11:20 right now.
Thank you, Amber.
I
want to talk about that a little bit.
Wherever you decide to go. If you could be back downstairs in that jury assembly room where you start each morning at 12:30.
We're taking lunch about half an hour early, so I think we're going to fight this one out a little
to get
bit.
you back up here as soon as we can after that. Please remember, if you do go out somewhere and have lunch, if you go in a group, that's just fine. You can absolutely go in your groups, but do not discuss the case at all amongst yourselves or anything about the case. Don't talk about the case with anybody outside of the jury. And please don't do any legal research or research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about. Again, if you're sitting somewhere, you just kind of hear in the din of the people behind you something about the case, just let them know, hey, I'm a juror in this case. I need you to stop. If they don't, if they persist, please leave and report it immediately to the deputies. All right. We'll see you back hopefully around 12:45.
All right, so 12:45, meaning we've got about 20 minutes of probably work to do here before an hour lunch starts. Amber, thanks for saying that. I would say domestic violence is something that is probably the one thing most of us have experienced or have personal knowledge of somebody who has experienced it, one way or another. So please be respectful. Your experience with it might be different than somebody else's.
Ms. Murphy, we're going to take an early lunch break. I want to remind you that the rule of sequestration has been invoked, so you're not to discuss your testimony or the questions asked of you with anyone, including the attorneys. You're not to discuss your testimony with any other witnesses or talk about what their testimony was or will be. And you're not to view anything about this case.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you back here. If you can also be here be back about 12:30.
Okay, no problem.
All right, we'll see you guys back here at 12:30.
Wow, and they're going to lunch. All right, off to lunch we go. I thought we were going to stay and fight something out here once we dismiss the witness, but no, they're taking an early lunch. Why would they do that? She's still on the stand. They're not done. He said he wanted to take lunch at 12:45 or 11:45. Amber, you're back. You can talk again. Sorry, we cut you off.
I called back because they went to lunch, and you said you wanted to talk about it more, and I appreciate your disclaimer that you gave after. Yeah. A lot of people get really opinionated when it comes to things like DV. And especially if you've never been in the situation yourself or seen somebody in this particular situation or in any type of DV situation.
I've got Jules calling in. Amber, can we hold on? Can you call me back right after Jules?
Sure.
Or no, she hung up. Okay, we'll wait. Keep going.
Oh, crap.
Sorry.
Okay, Jules, if you're listening, call back in and I'll hang up.
Yes.
So I just want everybody to understand, no one person is exempt from DV. No one person is exempt from being a potential perpetrator of. So this is not just one-sided. I really don't know anything about this case because I've been so in and out of attention. So I have no opinion. But there are a lot of people in this chat, in this community, on this channel, who have expressed their story of their situation.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of comments that are coming in from newcomers that may not understand DV entirely.
Let me wrap it up. like this, Amber. I think the best thing, let's just be respectful to each other. Our personal experience might be different than someone else's. We might have an opinion as to what happened elsewhere. Jules is calling back. Amber, I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much.
Call from Jules.
Hey, Jules, thank you very much. We just ask for everyone to just be kind and chat. You can share your opinion, just do it in a respectful way, and that's it. And we'll enjoy this together. We'll all be friends at the end of the day. Jules, thank you very much. Early lunch break. What just happened?
A lot. A lot. Listen, during the first sidebar with this Doug's family law attorney, so during that first sidebar, she smirked at the jury. Thank you. She clearly smirked at the jury. I thought to myself, oh, she's got an agenda. But in any case,
She definitely is not just a fact witness. She has a lot of opinion as well. But she's been involved. She's been on the front lines of the battle between Ashley and Doug that took place before he lost his life.
Correct.
So she's been fighting this since before we hit the docket.
Yes, and the defense attorney. People may or may not agree with me. I don't really care. He is doing the right thing with his objections regarding her because she is doing a narrative. She's not supposed to be doing that. She is opening the door to things now that the prosecution doesn't want to come in. So he was right, and even though they have the noise thing on the when they're at sidebar,
the white noise,
I could hear, but not. It sounded like whispers, which means it really wasn't whispering, but we could hear it, and him and the judge were like, the judge was, you could tell. The judge clearly was on the defense attorney's side. Now, I don't know if you could see the prosecutor's face
we saw body language
on camera while they were at sidebar. She was not happy. Yeah. She wasn't happy.
Looks like we're going to get to go into it then. That would be my guess from just observing that. Yeah, this is spicy. We knew it was going to be spicy, and it's going to continue. Jury's watching all this. Most of this has happened in their presence.
They are, and I have to tell you that this jury, in my opinion, they are not animated at all. They do not converse with each other. They don't even look at each other. Like there's no passing glances. There's nothing. When I tell you that this jury is a hard jury to read, whoa.
Yeah.
That's very difficult.
That's going to leave it up in the air for all of us. But interesting. You said it was seven females, 2 males on the jury. Mostly, I would say, what is this? Is this the retirement community that this is happening in? What do you say? There are a lot of 55 and above communities here, and Lakewood Ranch. That is where Ashley was living with her mom in a gated community, which over the weekend I did drive out here. Lakewood Ranch, it's actually south of here. I did do that, and because I wanted to get a feel for where she was at, and it was a gated community. See, I have questions now. It's a gated community. There's a front entrance and there's a back entrance. You have to have a code, or you stop at the security guard and they call
the resident, and then they get buzzed in.
Yeah.
Now, that is only at the front gate. It's not at the back. The back is just a code to get in. So my question is, how did he get in there? I mean, the day of, we know.
They were working. Are you talking about when he appeared, like in the neighbor's yard?
Yes.
Okay.
How did he get in there?
I'm guessing he had the code. Yeah. I'm guessing he had the code. This is going to be interesting. Right after lunch, we're going to pick up right where we left off with this.
Exactly.
Still with Stephanie Murphy on the stand. We're still on cross-examination. It's still going to be impeachment. Jules, we got you breaking up quite a bit right now with some noise.
Oh.
Might have to let you go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm going to go. I will talk to you guys at the next break. Can I give a shameless plug?
Yes, please.
Okay, tonight, 7:30 Eastern Time, I'm going to be live on Ada K.
All right, wonderful. We love Ada K. She's a good friend of the channel.
Yes. So, thank you. I will call you at the next during the next break.
Thank you, Jules. Appreciate that. Thank you. We'll see you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye. All right. Thanks so much to Jules. She's our court watcher there in the courtroom. Oh, we've got somebody else calling in. Just one second.
Call from
Abby.
Is this Abby or Addie?
Yeah.
Abby.
Abby.
Abby, how are you doing?
Good. So I just wanted to kind of weigh in on what Jules said. So my parents actually live in Lakewood Ranch, and so it's very true about the gated area. And what I actually have to do to get into their house, they have to issue me a QR code, or at the gate, they will literally check your ID and then call the resident to make sure you are supposed to be let in.
Wow.
So it's pretty.
So it's a pretty tight ship they run there. Then that's it sounds like look at it this way. When Ashley and Doug got together for their first together with a child event, a time sharing event, even though they'd been fighting, I mean lawyers fighting a battle with each other, they're like, hey, we're leaving together. It sounded like that at any moment they could like try to make up and be together again, which is just the strangest thing in this situation. But maybe then again that might be a little normal. Maybe there were times when they got along. I mean, we know 11 months they got along really well. There might have been times even during this battle where they sort of worked together or cooperated one way or another. Maybe that's how he got access.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to put it into perspective for people in the chat who have never been there, but it is a very wealthy area, and it is, a pretty quiet suburban community. So, and everything is gated. So,
yeah. Thank you very much for the behind the scenes access information, Abby. Thank you so much. I appreciate the call.
All right. Bye.
Bye. See you. Bye. All right, we're going to end it. We're going to go to lunch as we, instead of just staring at the wall here on the courthouse seal, we're going to go to lunch. We'll be back before they get back for lunch. We'll pick up and won't miss a minute of what happens in court. I will make it will be part 4, day 2, part 4 of this trial. So we'll have a new thumbnail. First person in chat, as always, wins the internet. So if you'd like to have an opportunity to win, all you need to do is click the subscribe button. That's the low cost of entry. It's free. And then just be the first person to chat in the chat window, and you could be the winner. So Woody won this morning, did a great job, kept the internet running for the rest of us. That could be you. You too could have an internet ownership certificate hanging on your wall. Anything else we need to cover before? Did I miss anything that we need to cover? Actually, let me make sure I got all the anniversary messages in here. Just one second. Working my way backwards here. Mandy Winslow, thank you for the super chat. Mildred Hornblower, thank you so much. Seems this cross will be more of a score settlement than anything else. I think you nailed it. This is personal between those two attorneys. They've been fighting for a long time over this. Sunshine Girl, hi everyone. 17 months, Sunshine Girl. Mary Kay for 18 months, one of our OGs as well. Best ever YouTube channel. Thank you, Mary. Great, kind comments. I think a little too generous, but thank you anyway. Lily Wayne, member for 7 months, as well as PJ, also 7 months. Thank you both. The lawnmower repair video, that was yesterday. I have not mowed yet. I want my kids to do that, but the lawnmower is working, and I fixed it in 1 hour. Changed out the carburetor, replaced the whole thing, and it's still running. I count that as a huge win. My girl Angie, member for 15 months. Best group of people, RA, you're the best. Thank you. Joe Duncan gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Joe. Luca, member for 8 months. Jamie for 11 months, almost to that year mark. Thank you very much, Jamie, for that. Crystal H, member for 5 months. Thank you and the entire community for being accepting, wonderful, and helpful. This is truly the best community in YouTube, on and off. Joe Duncan gifted another oatmeal. Oh, sorry. Joe Duncan, welcome to the gallery. Oatmeal, welcome to the gallery. The Defense Rest here for 3 months. Thank you so much. Been watching since before Cavalcante. Ooh la la, Pat says, had to work. What did I miss? It's just got spicier and spicier. So I think you came in at the right moment. There was a little bit before that, but you caught most of it. Laura Fry, member for 2 months. Thank you very much. Love the channel. Love that you're here, Laura. Angela, I can never say your last name. I just say Angela. Djordjevic. They gifted a membership. Thank you. Becky, also one of our new members today, and we had a huge super chat kicking things off earlier. Laura Bronson, any update on Maya? Just that we're moving forward towards those sanctions. That they've got what we're somewhere around $9 million in the interest amount on a penalty right now. They're still fighting it out tooth and nail. It's going to take a while. Mel Poi, the Bernina sewing machine I inherited from my mom was $12,000. That sounds like a good sewing machine. 10-month Cavalcante crew, says Kevin M. and Tumwater Troy, both joined at the same time as far as membership goes. Krista gave out 5 memberships and also said she's a very responsible Pew Pew owner. Everything's in safes. Like it. Trial Watcher, 6 wonderful months. Jennifer Juniper gifted a membership. Cakespoo gifted 5. Ash Axiom gifted 1. And Juniper Juniper gifted another one to kick everything off. And I think that caught me up with everybody, so I didn't miss anyone. I hate it when I miss people. All right. We're going to be back right after lunch. I may not be back till this one is over. Hopefully you're able to join us back. We're back. We'll be back in about 45 minutes. So at 12:15 we'll be back. They're going to be back around 12:30, 12:45-ish in that time frame. Did you try the pretzel, Brendan? I haven't tried them yet. A portal perhaps to the afternoon stream. If I make one very, very quickly, I could. Let's see, schedule a stream, reuse settings, part 4, visibility for, let's see, 12:15. Done. It's up, so the first in chat could be there already. I will say this, tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again, which will be about 12:15. We'll do a portal to to our afternoon session. That's what it is, so you guys can continue the conversation there in chat. Respectfully, as you've been doing so far. Thank you very much. Portal set up. I built it just like that while I was talking. That's another win for me. Ashley won the internet over there. Wonderful. We'll see you on the other side. Jules, thank you very much. The other Jules, thank you very much. Good to have 2 Jules with us. We'll see you on the other side. Have a fantastic lunch.
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
Shame on you, sir.